All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. I will call the December 10th regular session Colfax Council meeting to order. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. I will call the December 10th regular session Colfax Council meeting to order. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. I will call the December 10th regular session Colfax Council meeting to order. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. Okay, let's test this real quick and see if we get a feedback again. Yeah.
No, do we have anyone about Pulsify?
Logged in via Zoom or Facebook.
Oh, we can hear it. Yeah, there's 3 logged in and I can hear sound out of it, so we should be
So it
good.
appears to be working.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Yep. Turn it off again.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, City Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Trinity Burris. Present. Councilmember Kim Douglas. Councilmember Larry Hilberg.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Caroline McCauley. Here. Mayor Sean Lohman.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda order?
I would like to pull 8A, it's the Seroptimus donation, and move that up immediately following the approval of the agenda order, because I know it's their holiday dinner and we would like to get them out to it. That's 8A.
Are there any objections or other items? Okay, then we will go ahead and move item 8A to right now.
We need to approve the move first.
Yeah. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the move?
I'll move approval of moving item 8A to this part of the agenda now.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And on to item 8A, the donation to the Seroptimus International Colfax Soup Kitchen event. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the November 12th, 2025 City Council meeting, Sonia Keller from the Colfax Seroptimus requested City Council to consider making a donation to this year's event. Council directed staff to bring this item back tonight for consideration of a $1,000 donation to this year's soup event.
We have Tina.
Tina,
Yes.
great.
wanna go
Tina, do you have anything?
You want to push the little green buttons, or say push where it'll turn on, and then you can just give us the details of the dinner and we'll go from there.
Yes, so Seroptimus usually have our soup kitchen annually, except for this last year. So this year is coming back and everybody was very excited and happy. In previous years, we've been donating a few tickets to our seniors from the apartment across the highway. So this year there were more interested parties and we couldn't find the extra money, so we came here to ask for your help. I did ask for 50 tickets to give to our seniors. However, we appreciate the extra.
All right, thank you so much. Are there any questions from the public on this item? Any questions or comments from council?
I just want to say your attire is beautiful. And I support this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't hear your last sentence. It wasn't clear to me. Wonder if you'd repeat it. You had said that you came to ask for enough for 50 and then you said it would be more and then,
We would appreciate any extra money that you would provide us, which last month, the proposal from the council was you would give us $1,000. 50 tickets is $750.
okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question? Which of the council members said they were going to donate the soup to your dinner? No pressure.
You know, we appreciate your support in donating the funds. So that we're so grateful for that. Please come in and join us on Saturday.
I just have to say now that we appreciate you not calling out the individual council members.
Because that was the original request that the council, some of the members were to make soup to donate to the dinner. So that's why.
I didn't want to push it while, things are going good.
Great, thank you. Any other comments? No. All
I'll
right.
move approval of the item.
Thank you. Can I get a second? All right, Kevin with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes.
There you go. Go
Thank
enjoy
you.
your holiday
Yep.
dinner.
Thank you very much. Okay, move on to item 1E.
We're supposed to do the statement.
Yeah, that's right. Anybody got any new conflicts of interest? No? No?
No,
No? All right, great. Move on to item 2, the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved by one blanket motion with the council vote unless the council member or member of the public requests an item be pulled from consent for discussion. Items pulled will be addressed after council completes the consent calendar vote and will require a separate motion. Are there any items that anyone from the council or public would like to pull?
I'd like to pull item 2B, please.
Counting software? All right. Anything else? No? Online? All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar without item 2B?
so moved.
Second?
Well, second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Passes. Item 2B, accounting software.
Mayor Loman, I apologize. Can I get the vote one more time? I don't need, I just need a record of who voted.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It was,
Who made the motion?
motion was Larry.
I
Second
seconded it.
was Caroline, and it was unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. No problem. Okay, city manager, could you give us a little bit of info on this item? No problem.
So that you, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you were pulling the
2B, the accounting software.
accounting software?
Yeah.
Okay, so the city's accounting software is aged out. It's won't be supported by Tyler after the first of the year. So staff went out with an RFP, contacted multiple agencies or multiple providers. I think there was like 14 come back. Shanna, when she was here, and Cecilia went through these providers, evaluated each one of them, set in training meetings, and decided that the best course of action was to stay with Tyler Works for the city.
Yeah, so my understanding is that we're looking at a little over $58,000 for accounting software. What term period? I apologize. I know it says in here, but we've got quite a bit of information. How long is that term of support good for?
So the bulk of that is just for the software, and then there's an annual support fee of about, I think it says 32,000. Yeah, I'm trying to find the
Right.
sheet.
I'm trying to understand for the bulk of that.
So they're gonna have to load everything from our current software into the new software. So the bulk of that will be the work it takes to transfer everything over.
So the migration.
I'm sorry, yes,
Okay.
migration.
Okay, that makes
That was the
sense.
word I was searching for and couldn't get it.
And the licensing of that software is good for,
As long as you pay the annual fee is good for
As long
until
as you
they,
pay the-
until they decide it's not supported anymore.
okay.
And our last software is well over a decade old.
Larry, do you have any input on that?
Just a brief question. What did you mean specifically when you said aged out? They don't support it anymore?
They're not going to support it anymore.
As of,
It's, I can't find my copy here. It's after December.
2008
Yeah.
is when we got theirs. It says we've utilized theirs since 2008. So I would imagine that's how old that program is.
Yeah.
With us, at least. And Ron, this is the software that will also do our payroll, right?
Correct.
So it'll save
There are
us a ton
multiple,
of time.
yeah, the software comes with multiple modules. And one of the modules I picked will be the payroll module. So there will be no longer entering their payroll or entering their hours into a sheet, an Excel sheet, printing them, handing them to somebody to be re-entered into the software program. They will be able to enter all their time in their software program themselves. So we'll save a step. That's saving us money.
I know software as a service is very lucrative, good for the people who do that.
Yeah.
I know
There it is.
this is not an unusual quote, and I don't want to come across like I'm scrutinizing it from that perspective. I would just be very interested as my personal education to see some of the other quotes that came through. Is that something that you could provide to council? Because
I can look for them. Shanna will have those and I'll have to go through her computer.
okay, so
She's not here, so I couldn't find
did
them
we
to get
receive
them.
them via email?
Yes, there would be electronic reports. Yeah.
Okay, so if we could find those submittals,
Yeah.
and provide them, if I'm gonna have them, the whole council should have them.
Sure.
obviously,
Oh,
but,
absolutely. Yeah.
Just for our own future education.
Mm-hmm.
Larry, I can see you're waiting to say something. I don't want to hold you up.
yeah, just a general comment. There's creating all those same entries in a new database is a significant amount of work for staff. And that means a startup cost that isn't really addressed here. And it also makes us captive to the new system because the investment to change again is pretty big. So if you're confident that you've chosen the right one, then that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. So I've ran this by the AOS Josette, Rena Lucan. She is doing Shanna's position while we were recruiting, and she has a big background in accounting. She agrees that it's the right software, as well as Heather from RGS, who is doing our accounting as well, and she is on board with this same software. They both use it in several different places, and they said it was a good idea to stick with what we have. So I'm kind of going off of Shanna, Cecilia, and then the two new ladies.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No. Can I get a motion to approve? Public comment? No? Didn't think so.
Then I'll move approval.
Thank you. Can we get a second?
Well, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All right, thank you. All right, move on to item 3, agency report.
Did you approve the rest of the consent calendar?
We did.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
That's cool. Thank you.
yep.
Multitasking is not easy, is it?
Placer County Sheriff.
Good evening. How's everybody doing this evening? Good. Sergeant Toby Williams, the Sheriff's Office. Going over last month's statistics, we're actually down a little bit from October. In October, we had 173 total incidents. We're down to 129 this last month. Probably the most notable statistic is that in October, we had 25 transient-related calls, and last month we had 7. So aside from some enforcement activity from our deputies, and then I think the weather is playing a big part in it right now, some of those hopefully will continue to trend down. We had 8 arrests this last month as opposed to 14 in October. And again, we just attribute that to the number of incidents that are occurring in the town. We're preparing for Winterfest, getting some of our staffing up and going for Saturday. And last time I mentioned a grant that Colfax, the city of Colfax, is going to share with the town of Loomis for traffic enforcement and whatnot. I was asked to bring Deputy Brad Boyer to the meeting so you guys can thank him and ask any questions that you have. So Deputy Boyer.
Good evening, council. Just generally speaking, I've put a lot of time and effort into obtaining this grant from the Office of Traffic Safety through the state of California, who gets their grant funding from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So it is a federally funded grant that any agency within California can apply for to support their efforts in traffic safety and education and enforcement. So in our grant, we received a total of $86,000, like Sergeant Williams said, to be shared by both the city of Colfax and the township of Loomis. That will be determined based on essentially the needs that are occurring at the time. If there's specific requests of issues that need to be mitigated, that if suggestions are brought to us, we can focus enforcement efforts there. Additionally, we have the money allocated in certain respects. There's a certain amount for just DUI saturation patrols that are focused on DUI offenders. There's others that are warrant operation services to find people who have absconded from going to court with DUI related events or incidents. And then there's those that are focused on what we call primary collision factors, or other things like distracted driving. So things like speeding, stop sign enforcement, cell phone use, anything that typically contributes to a high number of traffic collisions. And the goal would be to reduce the number of injury and serious injury accidents within the city limits. So that's a synopsis of it. If you guys have any further questions, happy to hear them.
Any questions?
No. We just really appreciate you including us in that grant, because we know that we could use every penny that we can acquire. So thank you so very much for doing it. It means a lot.
Absolutely. And we have the next grant period, application period coming up here in January, February. So I will be trying to submit for a renewal as well, and we'll see what the state thinks of it.
Great.
I
Thank you
just
very
have a
much.
brief question. How can those funds be used? That wasn't clear.
So it's very specific how it can be used. There's funds that are allocated to different categories, and that will be decided among a team of, well, one, what the state tells us that we can do, but DUI enforcement, traffic enforcement services, education programs, and community outreach type things. But then in addition to that, we have trained members of the sheriff's office who can work and operate LiDAR devices and are trained in just general traffic enforcement services, DUIs, things like that. And those will be the ones that are given the opportunity to come work those events or those operations.
Okay, thank you for the answer, and thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. I just wanted to also just say thank you so much. It means a lot to have someone looking out for us, especially when it's not something that traditionally would fall within the scope of people's day-to-day responsibility. So that going above and beyond, we really, really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for all your effort in obtaining that grant. I know it's not an easy process.
It is not.
It is not. Thank you. And thank you guys for the extra enforcement. I know that's what's really making the difference as opposed to the weather. The extra patrols and just extra awareness you guys are having out there has just made all the difference in the world for everybody. So thank you guys very much. Yeah.
I have a question for Toby also. Do we have any policy here for e-bikes over and above what the state supplies?
Nothing above what the state has.
I'm out on the streets a lot because I walk around. I'm seeing 11 and 12-year-old kids doing wheelies up and down Church Street and Main Street and Grass Valley Street in traffic, down the railroad tracks. And I saw one young kid the other day, and I was saying he's climbing up one of those banks along the railroad right away. And I said, that bike has some power. He said, yeah, that'll go 50 miles an hour. And about 2 minutes later, he went by me about that speed, followed by his dad on an off-highway vehicle with a small child on his lap. Anyway, I think we need to do something. I don't know if it's as a city, but I've seen them skidding across the grass. They're going way too fast. I know the state law is 28 miles an hour, I think, but believe me, they're going 40 and 50. And makes me nervous, not so much for myself, but that can't end well. I don't know what the answer is, but I was just curious if we had anything here, and maybe we should.
Yeah, I can speak to it in some respects. There is a difference between electric bicycles and electric motorcycles. Some of them are really, they are dirt bikes that are operated by battery power. And those are the ones that we're most concerned about because they don't have the limit of a limiter on the engine of 28 miles per hour, like an e-bike would have for a certain classification of e-bike. The issue is not just contained to the city of Colfax. Obviously, we are dealing with this issue even more so in communities like Granite Bay, where parents tend to have extra money, a higher socioeconomic area where they can buy these toys that cost $3,000-$4,000 that the kids are out riding around and they are causing a giant ruckus. Anytime that we have the opportunity to stop and educate, we try to do that. If it's a situation that dictates further action, we do have the ability to impound those motorcycles. And that way we're removing the issue from the street completely.
One of the concerns I have is that you can't hear them coming.
Right. Yeah, and children just don't have the maturity level to understand the safety or aspects of being able to control it appropriately. Like you said, I've seen them wheeling as well, and you can easily lose your control while operating in that manner. Right. So it has come to the sheriff's attention. And I can't speak for him directly, but I know that they have definitely taken note of it. We've posted social media posts to help mitigate it from our sheriff's office social media pages. We've asked the schools to pump out any kind of brochures or pamphlets to inform the parents of what is lawful, what's not lawful. So there have been measures that have been taken. It's just that some sneak by, of course. Yep, no problem.
All right, thank you.
I have not seen it since. I don't know what happened, but they were.
Well, thank you for diligently looking out for those kids. I know that it to them probably seems like we're raining on their parade, but there's some consequences you can't take back.
Right.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. CHP is not here tonight.
Right there.
Geez, he's blending in with the crowd. Yeah, we don't have the bench going. I didn't even see you come in. Man, thank you. Sorry.
Sorry, Santa took present.
Officer Lyman.
Yeah, that's all right. Good evening, everybody. Officer Jason Lyman, California Highway Patrol, Gold Run Area Public Information Officer. I've got a few stats from last month here. We issued 294 citations. Also 111 verbal warnings on top of those. And then a total of 201 motorist services. We had a total of 7 arrests. 6 of those were for DUI. Thankfully, no fatalities that month. We did have a total of 27 collisions. There were 12 of those were involved injuries and 15 of those were property damage only. One of the things I want to bring up is the up in the construction up above up the hill a little ways. They are making some progress on that and starting to open up some of those lanes, moving a lot of the K-rail out and getting some of the lanes restriped, and they're coming along quite a bit here in the last few weeks, and hopefully their weather has been cooperative with them. So for the most part, so they've been able to get quite a bit accomplished. They are getting ready to start moving the traffic on the Highway 20 bridge there. They're getting that opened back up. They've got a bunch of that work scheduled for next week to try to move people around on the different portions and get more of that opened up. So hopefully that will be a lot less of a nightmare come when we have our next snowstorms. That's about all I've got for you guys tonight. Any questions for me?
Good.
I had a question. I had to miss the Christmas tree lighting because I was on my way to Tahoe, and I got caught in those grooves, the rain grooves, and it kind of rattled some of my fillings loose. And so my question is, when this is all resolved, will that kind of vibration go away when you're driving on I-80?
Are you talking about the rumble strips that's normally on the shoulder? Is that what you're talking about? That is not
No,
on the shoulder right now?
I was not drinking, sir.
Yeah, no, they have, because to try to just, they've had to adjust the lanes
I
over
know.
for their work. And yes, once that is all complete, those will be not in the lanes anymore. But yeah, those can be a little difficult right now. Yeah.
Is that number 294 less than it was the time before?
Last year, it was 266 for that same.
I was just
same
thinking
time.
of last month or I remember numbers like 400.
Yes, it is less than it was a couple months ago during the prime of summer weather and stuff, and a lot more traffic. There was easier to get more citations, but with this time, the little bit of weather that we've had, and also it's just kind of the off-season time, there's not as much traffic right now. So, and then we've also had so much construction going on, they can't speed going through there because there's one lane in so many of the areas. So that's contributed to a lot of that. Mhm.
Any questions from the public? All right. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Cal Fire. Just gonna make sure I call it out in case.
Good evening, Clint Sievert, Battalion Chief, Cal Fire, Placer County Fire. For our statistics for last month, we had a total of 1 vegetation fire, 2 residential structure fires, 6 vehicle fires for a total of 80 calls last month. And that puts us on par with kind of the average of what we run out of the Colfax station. For us, we are assisting with multiple events this month. We do have Winterfest coming up this Saturday. We will be there for the parade. This helping out the event. We have a booth, and then we will also be there for the fireworks show. Everything is set and in order for everything to hopefully proceed as planned. We also do have the Santa Parade coming up on the 20th. We will be assisting with that event as well. And then we did help out with the tree, getting the tree here in place. And I'm glad that went off without any issues. So I think we've got a pretty good streamlined way of getting that tree now. So we've got it down. For us, for burning, we are in open burning. So if you are burning, just make sure it's a permissible burn day. There is no permits required. So we're no longer in that shoulder season where permits are required. And it's just, as long as it's a permissible burn day, you're able to burn on your property. Just make sure that you're in attendance and following all the proper procedures for that. We are doing some various fuel reduction projects around in between Alta and here. So you'll see some smoke in the area from us doing some control burns along with the RCD that will be doing their normal work that they do. So you will see those. And with that, that's the end of our report. You guys have any questions?
I have a request.
Mhm.
So the Amador El Dorado unit puts lights on their tower for Christmas.
Mhm.
Can we get Mount Howe to have lights on there?
On Mount Howell, we'll have to work
Yeah.
on that one, yeah.
I'm sure we can't get it this year, but can I put in the request for next year? Because they're making you look bad.
Oh,
They
yeah.
got, I
Yeah.
screenshotted it and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're staffed with volunteers year round, so
oh, okay.
they have the extra help as well, but we can look at it for next year.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, nonprofits. Have the nonprofit representatives tonight.
Sorry, is that too long? Hi, Caroline Glenn Presson, 3rd of July, Colfax, 3rd of July, and Brandy here with me. So I wanted to give an update on the tree lighting. It was wonderful. I'm sorry you missed it, Kim. It turned out better than we anticipated. We had lines of people and kids, and it was wonderful. It turned out great. We had Michael Cox and Connor from Malarkey singing or playing, and they brushed up on their Christmas songs, which they were not really familiar with, but they did play some good music, and they did throw some Christmas songs in there, and they said they were working on it for next year. So we had lines of people, and it was just, we had Santa Claus show up, we had the old fire truck show up, and we had Santa light the Christmas tree. And so we learned a lot, and we're hoping that next year we have a lot more ideas. We're going to brush up on it, and we did real well. So we had a lot of great feedback during the event and on social media and through discussions with people in town, that they were really happy that we made this into its own event, because a lot of people could not find the time or did not even know that this was going on during Winterfest. So they were pretty happy that we did this. We had a couple fire pits out there, hot cocoa, popcorn. We plan on really priming up for next year and throwing a much better event now that we know that we've brought on so much attention with it, had so many people. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it over to Brandy here because she's going to talk for the chamber.
Oh, I was also gonna just say what a success the tree lighting was, really quick. And we would like to thank the fire department for the tree and all their hard work. We truly appreciate it. Colfax appreciates you. Now I would like to speak, my name is Brandy Morris, and I'd like to speak for the Colfax Area Chamber of Commerce. And please forgive me if I'm nervous a little bit. Gonna start by saying there's a lot of exciting changes with the chamber this coming year. We are continuing our monthly coffee and conversations, and we'll be scheduling quarterly meetings for all of our new business members. We are in the process of gathering information to put together the annual publication, Discover Colfax, and we will be distributing it throughout the state of California to the visitor centers and other county resource centers. We are still looking for the right people to fill our board positions. Right now, we have the executive director position available, which does have a stipend with that position, and the secretary position available as well. We're looking for individuals that are passionate about supporting the Colfax area nonprofits and our other business members. We have our monthly board meetings and fun ways to get involved in the surrounding community. So we're really excited about what the chamber is doing moving forward for the next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other nonprofits? Hey, Aaron.
Hello, Erin Newington with the Historic Colfax Downtown Association. I'm super excited to hear that the tree lighting was such a success. Congratulations, ladies. I also wanted to thank the people that have been involved with the Winterfest and all of the work that you're doing. It is quite a chore to put together that big of an event, and it looks like it's going to be fabulous. We have invested in some additional decorations for the city, and we have been working with the Garden Club. They're traditionally the organization in town who decorates, and so we've coordinated with them and asked if we spent a little more money and threw up a little more decor, if that might be okay, and it seems not to be a problem. So we're putting giant ornaments up all over town. And so that they should come in tomorrow and then we'll get them up and coordinate that with the city. So we're super excited to help in that way. I did want to mention, I did send an email after the last city council meeting, and it was suggested that I bring it up today. One of the things that I want to suggest is that we create some kind of a policy around events and nonprofits and some kind of framework in which we make decisions and make sure that that those decisions are made in an equitable way. And so I'm hoping that that will make the January agenda, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. I think that is all. Oh, sorry. We are also working on our 2026 concert series. I don't know if I think with the time frame, I don't think I've announced that we did not win the Levitt Grant. I can't remember if I've announced that, and I'm super grateful for everybody who got on board with that grant, took us to the top 50 nationally. It was a really big deal just to get to that level at a national grant like that. And so we have multiple bands selected. We are working on our dates, and we're excited to make those announcements.
Thank you. And great work on the Levitt grant. Yeah, that was a lot of competition. That's a lot of recognition for the city, even just making it to the top 50. Thank you so much. And the ornaments, that's awesome. It's going to be a good addition. Yeah.
May I briefly respond to the comment about the
please.
special events? Aaron, I wanted to let you know, the city does have a special events ordinance of sorts. It's chapter 5.24. It governs outdoor festivals. So if a local nonprofit wanted to do something like the tree lighting, that would be the appropriate place to start, is a permit for an outdoor festival. So we already do have some regulations in place, but there will be an item on the January meeting to talk about special events facilities, which is a slightly different topic. All I'm trying to do is alert you to the fact that the city does have regulations for outdoor festivals, and that if one of your organizations wanted to run one, the place to start would be a permit under that chapter. Okay.
Yes, we will go over it and then make sure we have something to bring to January.
Yeah, so you'll assure that the agenda item is written in such a manner to where we are able to discuss exactly what it is Erin is talking about.
I'll follow up on her email. Yeah, we don't have a policy in place that she was requesting, but I just wanted to pass along the information that we do have some regulations.
Okay, because I do think it sounds like we have consensus from council. We want to go ahead and knock that out just so that we're all on the same page going forward.
I'll make sure the agenda item is broad enough that we can address all the different elements.
Yep. Okay, any other nonprofits? No? All right. We have one presentation tonight. Harry Anderson from Back to the Drawing Board Sign Company has a presentation and sample rendering for signage. City Manager, will you please introduce the item?
Good evening, Council. Mr. Harry Anderson is here tonight to do an introduction to the Back to the Drawing Board Sign Company. And Harry, the floor is yours.
Waiting for you. Good evening, Council, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, and those of you that are on Zoom somewhere. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present this company tonight. The goal, could I get you to flip that? There you go. Thank you. Back to the Drawing Board is the company. This is Kat Wilson right here. She's going to be talking about what her company has done and their credentials and so forth. I want to say that this is not, this is designed tonight, this presentation, to get people to hear somebody who is impartial, who's not involved in any politics in the town, not any club, nothing, like myself. I don't belong to any organization at all. I think that having somebody who has the credentials that they do, that can make a presentation based on the fact that they do help cities like ours, have helped cities like ours, are helping cities like ours. And I still think, as Aaron wanted to have a committee, I still think, as I mentioned at the last city council meeting, that I think we need to have a committee. There's a lot of information that we could gather, and with their help and other people's helps, we could come up with an effective program for Colfax. I have some numbers I'd like to share with you. Did some homework about some things. It's kind of shocking to me. The traffic on I-80, according to what I've gleaned from Caltrans information, too bad those guys are already gone. They could verify it, I'm sure. Traffic on I-80 between Sacramento and Reno, especially near Truckee, seeing 25,000 to 39,000 vehicles daily, especially in peak months. Okay. For matter of reference, this shirt I'm wearing tonight, company TJ's, that we all know and hopefully love, I do, have great food, great prices. The difference between that location and our historic downtown, this shirt that I'm wearing, we have supplied them in 2 years, 1,200 t-shirts. That's a lot of people that bought shirts. And what we've learned from that is the fact that pretty much everybody thinks that's it. There's no, how do you get down here? The guy from Channel 31, same thing. Why doesn't it, look like there's something going on? How do you get downtown, et cetera, et cetera? I've always said that we could be like Disneyland, but we have to be unique. We can't look like Folsom and their advertising. We can't look like Grass Valley. We've got to be our own, something that's separate and simple. Disneyland has an attendance daily of 40 to 50,000 guests, as they call it. Their parking facility is for 20,000 cars a day on average, and that doesn't include shuttle service, ride sharing, or drop off. Why do I bring up these numbers? Well, it gets a little more interesting. Grass Valley Victorian Christmas 2024. The comparison from the Nevada City Chamber reported around 69,000 in 2023 and expected higher numbers in 2024, indicating strong crowds for the multi-weekend event. Now, obviously, we're looking at a one-day event. But my point is, for Grass Valley, they have to drive through here. Why aren't we getting a representative percentage to help our downtown? From what I heard today from one of the attendees that is a local that lives here, that went to the Victorian Christmas, everybody's period dressed for the Victorian era. The place is mobbed. The vendors are, the shops are happy. Vendors are happy. There's a lot of activity. And my point is that we should be garnering a major part of that traffic, but we have nothing. We are forgettable. We're not memorable. And that's what the goal that I'm trying to achieve for us. Having lived here 37 years, I've seen us just go down, 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 down. And so my hope is that with Kat making her presentation about her company and sharing her expertise and knowledge with all of you tonight, that we can form that committee that Aaron and I would hope everybody else agrees we should do. And let's put it together. And there was something I saw. I love history, World War II. I love it. I'm fascinated with it. And Winston Churchill was kind of a very interesting character. He wasn't very well liked. But he said this about the American people. He said, Americans will always do the right thing after they've tried everything else. Well, we've tried everything else and we're not making it. And the other one that I like who took over a nightmare back then in World War II was President Truman. And he said, It's amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. So my goal is that we can put all of the animosity and the egos and everything aside, and let's build something for Colfax that when we all check out, we can be proud of leaving behind for those people that are going to inherit this town. We have a railroad heritage. When we've had the big boy train come through, the amount of people that I have on that video was amazing. So the signs are there. We just need to be able to look fun. We don't look fun. We look very boring. And the poor people downtown, they don't even get to know anybody sees them because there's nothing to direct anybody there. So with all that said, I'd like to introduce Pat Wilson and let her tell you all about her company and why she likes this little town and what she's already done for this little town. Take it away.
Hi there, everybody. Hey, Kim, long time no see. Back to the drawing board signs. My name is Kat Wilson, and we've been in business for about 40 years now, embellishing small towns and big towns. Started in San Francisco and mostly do our work in Pier 39. So we create and fabricate basically artistic representations of businesses to get people to actually stop and look. You really only have max 3 seconds to capture somebody enough when they're driving by with your advertising to get them to want to actually, oh, wow, that's interesting. I want to go in there and check it out. And we have done that for many businesses successfully by creating eye-catching, eye-stopping. I mean, you literally stop and say, wow. And that, I think, is the ticket to drawing in tourism to the point where people really want to stick around and tell their friends about this place, you know. My parents have been coming here for, I mean, since I was a little girl. They would get on the bus and go to Reno, but they never missed. I mean, there was a whole busload of all the friends, and they would come out here and out to go to Reno to gamble and play the nickel machines. But they never, ever missed stopping in Colfax. It was the place to stop. And they would always go to Giovanni's, which is no longer there anymore. Go, you know, and just spend the day here and then take off and head to Reno for the weekend. And so I grew up hearing about their stories about Colfax, and having moved out here, it's been about, geez, 22 years now, not here, but very close. My partner and I have always been looking at this town like, oh, it's adorable. I wish we can embellish, bring art in a visual sense so that people can stop and want to stay too, instead of just in and out. Oops. But anyway, so like in San Francisco at Pier 39, we take on the big 3-dimensional projects that, I mean, I wish I had some pictures here to show you, but maybe upon request sometime I can provide something for you. Giant ice cream cones, big, you know, whatever the shop is selling. Right now I'm working on 3D giant hot pepper sauce bottles for hot sauce shop in San Francisco. And Pier 39 specifically requires them to definitely consider having these types of advertising pieces on their storefronts as opposed to anything that's just literally text, or that's not even allowed. You have to embellish. And since we've been doing that for so many years, I can see how successful it is, including Haight Street too in San Francisco. When you walk down Haight Street, it's just, I don't know if anybody have seen those big giant legs, women's legs popping out of the building. Just really fun stuff. And when we did those, it was back in 1991, and they're literally 13-foot women's legs popping out of a wall with Dorothy red glitter shoes on. And that business, it's for advertising for like Burning Man clothes and things like that. Those legs brought them in $1 million in the first year, which they were not that kind of business prior to that advertising. People, now they have bus tours that go by and photograph, and the bus tours, the double-decker buses, they'll stop right in front of the legs and everybody takes a picture and then they continue on. But all I'm saying is that I'm not talking about legs or anything like that, but just artistically done creative embellishments for your town. I've been dying to do for a long time. Got one out there on Highway 174. We actually did two of them, and just want to continue that theme to bring character to this town, that when people stop on the train, they're going to want to get off and stay and go to the cafe, get an ice cream, hang out, in this very tastefully embellished town. I just feel that having done it for so many years, I know the results. And if that's what you guys are really considering having brought to this town, art really does it. It really, really helps a lot. So if there's anything I can do to get something like that going on, I think it was about maybe 15 years ago in the theater next door, there was a big town meeting. They had a nice young lady come out and speak about gentrifying and beautifying this town. And it was a great turnout. A lot of people came, and we were excited. I said, oh, wow, that would be great if they actually consider doing this. Maybe we'll be able to find a way to get some of our art out here. And nothing ever happened. It was kind of sad because I know it's, people are constrained financially. We presented some designs for one of them being the railroad. It was called the Railroad Bar, whatever it was, the Railhead, yes. And we had we created a 3D train that was just the front of the train was kind of busting out of the top of the storefront. And it was 3D and it was action and it was really, really exciting and cool and everybody loved it. But again, it's just a matter of what can we do to facilitate a situation where people can really consider having creative signage, historically creative signage. That's very important to maintain that look. But still, maintaining a historic feeling in signage doesn't necessarily mean you have to use paint on the brick. It means keep the visual theme historic in every way, including colors and every aspect of it, but maybe multi-level, low relief, anything to get people to stop and take a picture, which is what we did for lots of places in Sacramento and in San Francisco, Oakland, and the Bay Area. I live out here, dying to do it. We've done it for Grass Valley and Nevada City, but now I want to do it here. Well, not now. I've always wanted to do it here, but now I really want to do it here. So if there's anything I can provide you that would show testimonial to how effective these advertising pieces are, I'd show up first thing in the morning if that's, So that being said, we thought about those candy cane signs that are out there. I know through experience that text, especially small text, is really not going to capture a driver or anybody walking by as well. We've done it so many times, multicolored, duotone. We've tried everything and they're not really they're more informative, but not embellishing to the point where people want to stop and look at it and then read it, you know? So I presented that just because it kind of coordinates with what's already out there on 174. But just to give you an idea of how art can really, you know, take a town from one level to a much higher level. I know that for Christmas, the tree lightings, those giant ornaments that she was talking about, all these things to make this town beautiful and want people to come out and celebrate. I want to carry on that and make it more of a permanent thing where people can feel that way every day. Just not waiting for a holiday, you know. But so if there's any questions or anything anybody has about our business or what we've done in the past, one real quick thing. I'm sad that the CAL FIRE guy left because I'm about to install in the next day or two in his CAL FIRE station. We did a giant multi-level, three-dimensional state of California that delineates all their districts and it's an art piece that they want for their main office in Sacramento. So that's a great project to take on. Sorry he missed it, but I'm just so happy that they want to take on art in a way that's not specific to advertising or anything. It's just pretty up the place, you know. That's all I wanted to say. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And if any of you guys have questions, just let me
Yeah.
know.
Any questions from the public? No? Council?
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions for you, if
okay.
you don't mind.
Sure.
My first thought would be that, you know, as you mentioned, we have to stick with the historic colors and stuff. So I would wonder if, I know Kathy is a super busy woman, but I wonder if it might be worth it to have you get together with, to review our sign ordinance, basically with our planner. You can look at it on your own, but see what in there would possibly have to be altered or how you would have to alter your designs, you know, on both sides to be able to still stick with the historical requirements that we have. So the planner would be the one to talk to about that. Her name is Kathy.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure, you know, the side ordinance, you could get and review it just to see what we already have written and see if your ideas would fall into that. Or if you had any suggestions that the council would be able to consider for changes for that. So that would kind of be this first step. My other question for you would be, you said you had worked for cities, but most everything you spoke about was for individual businesses themselves. So I'm curious what you've done for branding and marketing cities as a whole. And then the other part is, since you have stock you're talking about businesses primarily, of advertising individual businesses. Once you have, you know, familiarized yourself with their sign permit, then my thought would be to go to, you know, door knocking on the individual businesses into the chamber so that you would be able to present options to those guys. Because so much of what you are talking about is for businesses themselves and not branding the city. But I am curious what you've done in regards to branding cities.
Right now, we're working on Old Town Sacramento, which is kind of a little bit of a ghost town. And we've been, you know, please let us do something for you guys. And we finally got one in there and we're hoping that, you know, it spreads. But as far as what we've done in the past, we did South San Francisco, where we took an entire 2 blocks and actually, we weren't even, we were basically called and said, do this, please. And all the businesses were already on board. So it was pretty easy to get that put together for each individual business and tied them together with one common element, one common factor so it kind of had it kind of smoothly transitioned from one business to the next without being too distractive and individualized. And so the coordination of all the businesses, it was about 16, I think it was, individual designs for each one of them, all having a common element in the And that went easy because they already permitted it and everything before we even got to design because they were so desperate for it at the time. So I could bring some images of that sometime if you, upon request, if you ever need that.
I mean, if you want to email them or any other examples you have.
Okay.
Yeah, you just, if you email them to the city manager, he can spread them out to all of us and send it out. That would be
Love
awesome.
that.
Thank you.
I'll do that.
Great.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Come on down.
My question is that roundabout, if that would include your artwork, because that roundabout just says Colfax, doesn't tell anybody about the downtown historical Colfax, so nobody knows to even go down there. They just go around and do their McDonald's and stuff, and they don't go down to our private stores and our. So, yeah, they might go there, but they don't come downtown here.
I can bring it up when I do meet with the planner, see if there's something.
Can you come? Sorry.
I could mention like Caroline mentioned that meeting with the city planner. I think I can maybe mention that, take it up and see if there's. I'm not even sure exactly what you have there at this time. I think it's what
It's actually a picture of downtown. It's a picture that was taken. It was done by a vote process to get that picture, but it is a photo of the stores downtown and it says historic Colfax on it.
Screen kind of a.
No. It's an actual picture put on a giant piece of metal. It's just, that's
Okay.
been put on there.
All right. I'll bring it up. There you go. I'll bring it
Yeah,
up.
I just.
I should meet with them. Anybody else?
Public comment? Come on up. I'll get you.
Hey, Erin Newington with the Downtown Association again. I just wanted to put it out there that there was some brainstorming that occurred, and I was a little surprised to see this on the meeting today. And we had asked for a bid on the signs just to get an idea of what the ballpark looked like. We've met with the city planner, so we know that there is no real regulation to make those changes. As long as the shape stays the same, it shouldn't be an issue. It's a cheap $250 permit and the cost of the signs. And so we just wanted to raise our hand and let you know that those conversations have been happening and that there's multiple renditions out there. And like I said, we were kind of surprised that this was on the agenda. And I think Harry's intention was to bring awareness to the project, which I appreciate, but we would just like to be part of that conversation since we've done a lot of legwork, meeting with multiple cities and how to specifically market a historic district and what that looks like. And that's very much a part of our mission.
Okay, thank you. Public comment? Yeah, please come up, public comment.
Thank you. My name is Mark DeBourbon. I've lived in Colfax for about 6 years now. And I have a piece of property up on called Beacon Hill here. It's up by the cell towers, but at the very top. And hearing Kat talk about the signage, you can see the face of my property from I-80. And I would be happy to entertain the discussions of putting a sign up on part of my 9 acres on Beacon Hill, away from my house, but around towards the cell towers where 80 is seen from. You can see a huge historic sign, visit historic Colfax, come into town right on the side of Beacon Hill. So it seemed as soon as you hit the first exit, before exit 135, you can see sort of up there, the cell towers where they are up the hill, a wonderful neon sign of some kind, huge, that you see from 80. I'd love to talk to the town about that if that's something they would consider. Listen to what you have to say. The visuals are incredible. It would light up that whole hillside and then just be visible from town. And what a great way to bring traffic into downtown Colfax. Should we be happy to talk about it if anybody's interested in that kind of idea?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Any other public comment?
Okay, in closing, I've been hired as a project manager for many businesses that were in bad shape. And they looked terrible. Their signage was terrible, everything. And I was asked to fix it because I was fortunate enough to work for companies that made it. I knew what good behavior looks like. If I were the project manager for the city of Colfax, I would hire somebody like that back to the drawing board. Because again, they're not tied to us. They have a vast knowledge of experience to share. And as I told Aaron, I still think we should do the committee because this way it gives, even back to the drawing board, it gives them more of an idea of what the city is thinking collectively. And that's, I'm not trying to jam anything down somebody's throat. I'm trying to get people to wake up to the fact that some people are visual and some people are auditory. And thanks to the Colfax elementary school system, they taught me about my kids 30 years ago. And I know which one was auditory and I knew which one was visual. And the one that was visual, if I told him something, he wouldn't get anything done. But if I wrote a note and put it on the refrigerator where a boy goes to right when he comes home from school, he took the note and it got done. The other one, he could hear. And if he didn't do it what I asked him to, all I had to say was, do I need to write that down for you like your brother? And he like, no. So learning that has helped me not only of being a parent back in the day, but in being in business, because there are a lot of people that don't hear and they see and vice versa. So the goal tonight was to simply get people to understand that there is an alternative out there, an alternative that's available to us to explore and maybe learn something that will finally, as Winston Churchill said, you know, they'll finally do it right. And that's really where we're at. After living here 37 years and watching this thing just like a greased pig sliding down a hill, it's pathetic. We can do better. We have a lot of talent in this town right now. And for that gentleman to offer that idea about a beacon on the hill, so to speak, with the creativity of what Back to the Drawing Board can do. And I mean, it would be fantastic. It would really be fantastic. And again, like I've said before, it would be nice for this town, as small as it is, to be the shining star of Placer County. And we have every way of doing that. We just need to do something now. So thank you very much for the opportunity tonight for us to introduce them to you. And I hope nobody got their ego hurt tonight, but I hope that we can get that committee going and Caroline, get you what you need from Kat so that you guys can, everybody can get involved in this thing and let's get the ball moving. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff. All right. We have no public hearings tonight, so we'll move on to public comment. Every resident has an opportunity to address the city council for comment. This is the appropriate time, and you may speak to council on any items not on the agenda. The council cannot act on these items. However, the items will automatically be referred to staff. Please come to the podium, give us your name, and speak clearly into the mic, and each comment is limited to 5 minutes. Anybody for public comment tonight? No?
We'll have been here a lot. We talk about public comment each item, is that correct?
Yeah, each item will have a public comment period and this is just for anything not on the agenda. Free for all, yes. Come and say what you want for 5 minutes. No? No public comment in the room? Yeah.
Is talking about or just stuff that wasn't?
Only things that are not on the
Yeah.
agenda for this
Okay.
evening.
It's not on the agenda.
So one thing, I want to know how the skate park is going.
That is on the agenda.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Another thing, I don't know if this is something you guys can do, but the Colfax High School has 4 tennis courts that look beautiful. Then they have 2 that are terrible looking. There's weeds and cracks. And I was wondering, is there a way of making those 2 tennis courts into pickleball courts? And I'll leave you guys.
Yeah, that would be on the high school and the high school district for that, but we can definitely advocate for that.
Yeah, I'm the liaison of the schools, so I can definitely bring it up as a conversation to them, but just to be clear, it's outside of our jurisdiction, so we can ask and we can be a partner, but we don't have any legal authority.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Any other public comment?
I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention, first of all, because I'm super proud of Colfax and I'm especially proud of our youth. The Colfax Junior Falcons cheerleaders were at their championships last month, and I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention that our 8U won first place, our 10U won first place, and our 14U won second place. So we're very, very proud of them, and I just wanted to share that positive information with all of you.
Thank you. Definitely big congratulations to all the girls and all their hard work. Good.
Should we do some recognition for them
I
on
think so.
future agenda? I
Yep.
think that'd be good. Bring them all
Get
up
that
here.
in January. Yep.
Yeah.
Staff. Got it. Excellent. Thank you. Any other public comment? No? Nothing online? All right. Then we will move on to item 7, council and staff business. Kim, you want to kick us off?
Okay, I had just one meeting. It was an emergency meeting in Auburn, Placer County Air Pollution Control Board. And we had to have a special meeting because the state found $400,000 and they were looking for somebody to give it to. So we had a special meeting and we accepted it. The meeting lasted 4 minutes. We got the $400,000 and it's going to be a study on biomass. So thank you, state. That's all.
Awesome. Great to hear that they're doing the biomass study because that's a really important emerging energy source that the technology is really coming out on to make it affordable and feasible to use. So, especially in micro areas like Colfax or Auburn. Larry?
I attended the chamber coffee and conversation, always an educational time. Some good communication happens there. I encourage anybody to go. And I went to the Sierra Vista Center Community Board meeting, and things are getting better there all the time. They're accumulating cash. They have new projects happening and financially viable for sure. And there's a beautiful new gym floor there, as many of you know. It even smells good in there, you know. That gym floor, it just has a good feel about it. I'm ready to lace them up again. That's all.
Nice. Thank you, Larry. Trinity? Okay.
Let me see here. So I attended the PCTPA monthly meeting. We did do our rotation. Colfax is coming up in line here soon again to chair that board. So that's obviously exciting. One of the main things that I think is probably important for everybody to know that we have been working on, and we touched base on this in a meeting earlier today, is we have legislation that we're currently chasing in order to increase the bottom threshold for federal allocation for small cities and jurisdictions. Right now, the bottom threshold is unrecognizably low. So we really don't receive more than about $50,000 or so on a good year when we're lucky. This would increase the bottom threshold to a little over 200,000 for small cities and jurisdictions, making sure that we do have a more equitable redistribution of those funds. That's really important because a lot of times when fund disbursements are calculated, they tend to do it based on either high traffic congestion areas or the source area from which the tax revenue was collected. Well, those methodologies fail to consider the fact that small rural jurisdictions tend to do a lot of their large major purchasing where that tax money is coming from in these larger jurisdictions. So this would help, again, just kind of help with that redistribution and make sure that cities like us that do take that seasonal traffic flow are able to recoup some more funds to deal with the mitigation impacts that are required from hosting all the winter traffic and things like that. Those are really my main points. I think I'm good.
All right, thank you.
It's kind of nice, I don't know about you guys, but the calendar on meetings kind of starts to taper down just a smidgen right now, which is fantastic. I did get to go to the Lions dinner, their Thanksgiving dinner, which is always a fantastic evening. Sean and I both actually were invited to the Lions board meeting and just got to chat with them and answer questions about what's going on in the city, anything we've got coming in. They asked us a lot about, construction and new businesses and things along those lines. We had the tree lighting and we had meeting this morning. I had 3 SACOGs meetings in the last month. And I was lucky enough to go actually with our city engineer, Carl, on a tour to the lime kilns with Jim Woods. And he's got a group that's working to try to get somebody, whether it's a county or a land trust people, really interested in that property out there so we can hopefully save it from being dispersed into small parcels. And so they have a group that's working hard to try to save that land out there before it gets all sold off at some point in time and save the kilns and turn it into kind of a tourist attraction. So, but
As Caroline said, I got to attend the Lions Club meeting. That was great to be able to give an update on the city and answer a whole bunch of questions. Tree lighting was an awesome event, very well attended. Got to go there. Had Pioneer Community Energy meeting, Placer Sierra Fire Safe Council meeting. I got to meet with Representative Heather Hedwick earlier this week. She stopped by Colfax to meet some people and had a good conversation about what she's been working on and stuff that's going on the state level. Let's see, we did Placer County Flood Control District meeting. That was pretty routine. Had a meeting regarding our with LAFCO regarding our municipal service review and sphere of influence. Just making sure that project is moving along and everybody's on the same page. Attended the Winterfest planning meeting and had a meeting today with our consultant from Four Leaf to discuss our FEMA grant, the status of that, and also a future fuel project planning grant from CAL FIRE that we might be able to get for areas north of the city. Kind of help the Placer Sierra Fire Safe Council look at some options for some fuel management planning so we can get some more projects on the state list and the county list for fuel management. And this afternoon I had the Placer LAFCO meeting. It was also pretty routine. And that's all I had. City manager.
Okay, we'll be starting interviews for the administrative service officer position later this week. There was some concern called in about the removal of dirt from the area between McDonald's and the Arco gas station. That was fill dirt that was left there from prior construction. And that fill was used again on the Arco wall for the Tesla project down behind the station there. Staff has contacted Arco a couple of times about winterizing that area. I'm not sure if they got it done yet or not. They had it on Tuesday and I asked Joe to go back out and see them. The supervisor control and data acquisition project at the wastewater treatment plant is about 85% complete. That's basically up and running at this point. Maintenance has been spending a lot of time readying the city for the Winterfest event. We've all been busy with that. They've completed a French drain around the corporation yard, so no more rainwater in the building. It worked great after the last rainstorm. And they performed some hot patching in the parking lot of the sheriff's substation, so now the sheriffs don't have big potholes to drive through when they're parking their vehicles. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. All right. And we'll go ahead and move on to item 8B, the skate park bid results. So we did have this item on the agenda, but I was notified that Ty couldn't be here today. I'm going to ask that we pull the item, but I didn't want to do it in the agenda order because there's a bunch of public here and I wanted to make sure nobody had a comment on it. So if you guys are okay, I'd like to allow public comment on the item if there is any, and then hold the item until a future agenda. It'd be the first, continue the item until the first meeting in January, since Ty couldn't be here today.
Okay.
Choice. I think I was asked Connor, since we're not going to make a decision for this item, but if we're going to defer it,
if you're not going to
Yeah.
make a decision, do I still have?
No, you're fine.
If you're, yeah, if you're not taking action.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, you're good. You can hang out. Is there any public comment on item 8B? Yeah, go ahead. Come on up.
Does the city have permits for the skate park?
We're a self-permitting jurisdiction, so we would self-permit, but we're not that far. We only just received bids and came to the conclusions in the staff report.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to evaluate options, and now that we've received our preliminary bids, and
Okay.
so that's why we're asking to hold item 2.
I'm just excited to get the kids into something healthy, and I see that skate parks actually bringing other people from other areas, which is good for the businesses too.
Yes.
So. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment on this item? No. All right, then we are going to go ahead and continue this item until the next agenda. Okay, can I get a motion to continue the item to a future agenda?
I'll move that we continue item 8B to a future agenda when Ty Connors is available to attend and present.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 8C, Culver Street infiltration trench. City manager.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After receiving you received this. After we paved the Culver Street last winter, during the raining period, we found that the groundwater started weeping through the new pavement. Carl Moore with City Engineering Services has worked with Geocon to determine the depth of the ground and the water flow with the intent to have a French drain built beside the road to give the groundwater somewhere to go other than weeping up through the pavement. Carl is here tonight with us to discuss the project and answer any questions. Carl, if you'd come up.
So Carl Moore, city engineer. I don't know if council has any questions on this, but I think everybody's aware of the water seeping through the pavement along that section of Culver Street. I invited Geocon out. We looked at it. They did some hand borings, and we think this infiltration trench should relieve some of that water pressure, but it might not relieve all of it. We don't know the full depth of the groundwater. Is there a possibility that we install this and spend this money and there's still some groundwater issue? There is. I know Councilmember Sean knows about the well. You might want to explain more about that. I don't know what that vault is.
Yeah, I can do that. So out right in front of the sheriff's station on Culver Street, there is a concrete vault in the ground. It was a previous retention vault for that spring flow that is coming out of the ground in that area. The pipe for that vault long since collapsed and was filled with roots and no longer ties into anything. So the vault was filling with water previously. About 10 years ago, the top of it caved in because it had previously just been redwood. The vault had a metal grate installed over the top of it and has been paved over. And because that's been blocked off, it appears to be allowing the water to push further out on the street. But that tied into the old drainage system that used to go when all the streets were dirt. They put that in basically, and it just directed all that water back behind the firehouse alley here and out to the drainage systems and the creek. So it's been a long-term spring, and our new road work just kind of ended up making it an issue again. So hopefully this will work out, but we may need to, like Carl said, do further geoengineering studies to figure out the actual source of the groundwater and see if we can capture it at a higher point. But this is probably our best shot without spending a significant amount of money to prevent that from happening anymore.
So, and with the CDBG project 2 summers ago. We had them replace the top with the concrete lid. There's now a graded storm drain manhole that you can see. So you can look down in it, you see the standing water. There is a shallow 4-inch pipe now that's draining that vault, but it's up high. And I believe that's a 7 or 8 foot deep vault. So obviously it was put in for a reason for groundwater issues. But the problem is you have this sheet flow underground that's coming down and you've got a vault and it's only intercepting a portion of that. So now we sealed the street with all this nice fresh asphalt and that water has nowhere to go. So it's coming up through the pavement and also being forced across the street, and it was popping up in the alley and it kind of destroyed part of the alley. So we think this is the best alternative, at least to try and intercept that water. And in my opinion, as city engineer, it should intercept a good portion of it.
I know that water always finds a way. I'm wondering, do you have any idea, or does anybody have any idea where it's coming from? I mean, somewhere up the hill.
That's what Councilmember Lohman was talking about.
Yeah, but we don't know, right?
If it continues to be an issue, then maybe we look up on Rising Sun and see if we can intercept something up that way and do maybe some deeper borings to see where how deep that water is.
Okay, that would be a cost, right?
Yes.
So, but we really don't know where it's coming from right now.
Not 100%. The source of the spring is right there where it's daylighting, or that's where the spring is daylighting, but the source has got to be up the hill somewhere. So, I mean, that could require boring and then dye testing. Could require LiDAR. There's lots of different ways we could go about finding the source of the water, but none of them are cheap.
Just a water witch and a stick.
There's so many different pockets of water underground. I don't think that'll be effective to identify that individual spring right there. That could be, for all we know right now, that could be the actual source of the spring, that the water's coming from thousands of feet up the hill, and we'll never find the actual source because it's where the canal or the Bear River somewhere way upstream or leaking into the soil, and it's finally daylighting right there. And in some of these situations, you may never find out, and it can cost a lot of money to actually source that out. But hopefully this will manage most of that water coming out. It does seem to be, since it did dry up during the summer, toward the end of the summer, it does seem to be a seasonal inflow. So hopefully, or the water table is just finally adjusting to that point. So hopefully, if we can capture it in that just a few feet below the ground, we can at least get enough of it to divert it off before it fills the ground.
So for now, we're just going to try to deal with it.
Yeah.
And hope it works. Okay.
Yeah, this is the best solution we could come up with for without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to figure out where the water's coming from.
I know that in Los Angeles some years ago, they had to develop their drainage systems for a 200-year-old flood or something like that. And they couldn't ever have come up with enough money to deal with all the water downstream. So they started to save it, and they use it for watering the streets. And it saved LA many billions of dollars because now they're using the water, for freeway medians and parks and things like that. I'm not sure that's viable for us, but maybe.
Yeah, if this doesn't work, we may have to do something like that. We may have to put another cistern in the ground or something and pump the water and move it from another point.
I mean, I'm no engineer, it just seems to me that finding the source ought to be first, but I'm not the one to make that decision.
No, we're hoping to deal with it at the terminus instead of the source, because it's going to be much more cost effective if we can.
It apparently worked in the past, so there is some hope.
There is hope, because that cistern was catching it. Until we disturbed that top layer and repacked it, we weren't getting the infiltration at that top ground level. It was actually coming out further down the road down here. So, which is why most of the basements here have water in them, is because of the natural spring and the natural water course underground here. It just kind of seeps in. So, anyway.
And we will have our staff drain that vault, and because we don't have any plans, we don't know where the drain holes are or anything, or if they're plugged. So we're going to have them drain it. It might be tomorrow, and see what that vault's doing. Any other questions?
Any questions? Any other questions? Questions from the public? No? All right. Come on in. No? You did off. Oh, yeah, you can come up. Please.
Well, that way the public can hear you if they're online, so.
We can give you a mic. All right. Well, we can talk about it after too if you want. All right. Thank you, Carl. If there's no other questions, can I get a motion to approve?
Well, and can we clarify exactly what it is we're approving here? Because I'm
Okay.
going to be honest, I was a little bit confused by the resolution language, and it might just be my own ineptitude, but if we can just clarify exactly what we're approving, that would be helpful.
Do you want to clarify the language, city manager, or Carl?
Yeah.
I apologize if the resolution language is a little confusing.
It's really a me problem, not a you
No,
problem.
I put these all together really quick and trying to meet the agenda deadline. So what we're approving here, we put this out to bid. We received 2 bids. So I took the low apparent bidder and added 15% for any contingencies, and that's what we're approving.
Okay, beautiful.
All right. Okay.
I'll move approval of the resolution as written.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to item 8D. Policy initiative, establishment of a public trust and formation of the Colfax Community Foundation. City manager.
All right, thank you. This policy initiative has been brought back from the last meeting to give council more time to digest the information in it. As demand for public benefits programs increase, other jurisdictions have addressed these challenges by establishing a public trust fund. Councilman Burris has spearheaded this idea and will fill in the council questions.
So just for the benefit of the public and folks here tonight who may not be familiar with the item, the core concept that I proposed is that we form an independent nonprofit called the Colfax Community Foundation, similar to what Placer County and other jurisdictions have. It's not uncommon for jurisdictions to have a direct nonprofit that they work with in order to facilitate broader reach of programs and projects. As you know, we as a government entity can be very limited in what we're able to do, and it can basically shackle us in golden handcuffs where we may have great intention and a lack of ability to execute, or a lack of ability to receive certain types of philanthropy that could support publicly benefiting projects. So the concept here is by forming an independent nonprofit, we would be able to use it as an umbrella organization that would have board members from all of our existing nonprofits. So we would have unified control over the funds that are going and being donated for public benefit. Right now, we have a $30,000 fund, and we do issue funds to different events, to different nonprofits who come and make requests. But there has been a lot of conversation about the fairness of that, whether or not there's any issue of, folks who also run nonprofits like Carolyn here. And we want to make sure that obviously everybody feels like they've had a voice in the process, especially because these are public funds we're talking about. So this would, allow us to have a larger voice. It would allow us to reach our constituents who are not living within the city limits. It's important to notate that we have a number of people who are on our sewer system who pay the sewer fees who are not within city limits. And when we've had prior evacuations and we've allocated grant funds for people to either get hotel vouchers for evacuations, et cetera, we were unable to provide that funding to people that were in our community, but not within our jurisdiction because we were limited in our scope of power. This would make it so we would be able to do that. Additionally, and probably most importantly, it would make it so that we are able to receive donated funds from larger entities. So, you know, I think one example is PG&E has a great program where employees can select a nonprofit of their choice every year, and they can donate up to $1,000 to that nonprofit, and PG&E will match it. They can also run independent fundraisers that can be matched. And so this would open us up to a lot of those opportunities to receive grant funds and increase our matching pool, and then collaborate among nonprofits who are also seeking grants. Because by having all of our nonprofits cooperate and be part of this nonprofit, we would be able to pool our resources in order to chase larger funding sources, rather than using our splintered efforts and, you know, a lot of work. So that's the basic overview. I'm happy to answer any questions. There are two aspects to this. There's the community foundation, which would be that independent nonprofit. And then separately from that, there are the independent trust funds, which are basically trust accounts that people can donate to for specific purposes that can actually be put as an optional line item on people's tax roll bills. You may have seen that when you get your county property tax, that they'll give you a separate flyer in there and an option to donate to the library fund or, you know, the animal shelter fund. So we would be able to, you know, put some trust funds in place that, you know, again, another opportunity to help fund what we need in this community through philanthropy, not just through tax dollars, because nobody wants higher taxes. We would rather have voluntary funds than taxes. Any questions?
Thank you for the breakdown of that.
I have one question. Would the organization itself write its own bylaws and somehow work with the city as to what they are? Like, for example, some can spend only interest, some can spend capital. Would we allow them to write their own rules subject to our approval, or how would that happen?
So the request before council tonight is to allow the city manager to basically work with me and potentially one other council member to come up with the preliminary formation documents. The expectation would be that we would bring those preliminary formation documents back to council for approval before officially forming the nonprofit. But it would be my advisement that we insert a certain limited degree of flexibility for that board to make adjustments to those bylaws. Ultimately, the city cannot retain absolute control in order for us to really truly meet the independence requirements. However, we can have, you know, for example, 2 board seats that will be filled by council members, for example, or those appointed by the city, just as we would say the other nonprofits would be able to, you know, appoint a certain number of board members. So we would bring it back for approval, though.
If this is the appropriate time, I'd like to volunteer to be part of that, the original setup.
I don't think it's quite there yet, but definitely noted. Any other questions?
The one thing I was gonna say is I'm fully supportive of starting to explore it and get the organization started. I do not want to tie our quote nonprofit fund that we have to it at any point at this time. I think that's something that conversation to have during budget talks. But I think forming it is a great idea. I like being able to have the flexibility to it. As long as we're not tying that funding to it at this point, I think it's a great idea.
And I would just clarify to your point, that is not part of the proposal tonight. We are not allocating any form of funding to the nonprofit at this time. The entity would have to exist before we could do any kind of appropriations to that organization.
What would be your thought on funding the filing for the nonprofit? Because I mean, it costs a little money. It's not outrageous or anything like that. But what are you thinking about for funding that portion of it? I mean, obviously we can come back to the council for it, but I didn't know if you already had something in mind for that portion.
In order to reserve the name, I have already donated those funds.
Okay, that works.
I didn't want anyone to snap it up as soon as they saw the public proposal and then try to hold the name ransom from us, so.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for council? No. Any questions from the public? No. Nothing online? All right, bring it back for a motion and vote. Can I get a motion?
I'll move approval.
I second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Move
Oh,
on
and
to-
I'm sorry, just to clarify, we did approve the city manager to work on it. Should we, within that, make sure that we clarify what other council member would be working with me and the city manager before we move on?
The resolution
It-
states that, the council directs staff to assist,
Well, if we're gonna have another council member working with me and staff, we do need to probably clarify that just so that we have that on the record.
I think that is what that,
Yeah.
two council members working together. No, you don't formally.
So if Larry'd like to work with me on it.
Yeah. Larry, if you're gonna start talking about it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
ad hoc just advises, so that's perfect. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, I don't see any objections to that, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we got on the
No,
record.
absolutely. Thank you. Okay, item AE, city manager kicks off.
Okay, some community members have commented that the wayfinding signs seem to have limited impact due to the design features. Mayor Pro Tem McCauley has initiated a review of the existing signage and requests the city council considers potential improvements aimed at increasing clarity and visibility. Carolyn, the floor is yours.
All right, so we put in those, if you're not sure what the wayfinding signs are, those are those, the candy cane signs as Harry calls them, and they've got the pale yellow background with a little tiny, really elaborate font, and it says visit and explore, visit, explore, and relive history. And I believe there's 6 of them. And the whole intention, of course, was to get people to be curious about what Colfax has to offer. But with the color being super pale and the font being really small and hard to read, they're not accomplishing much, is the general consensus that I've been hearing. So the thought that I had is to have those redone. And one of the items that's included in the council packet, there's actually a study based on colors of signage and what's most effective, so the council can look at that too. I am not attached to any design at this point whatsoever. The one that had been put out is a suggestion by a sign maker I had been working with on another project. He put this out. He had the green and the yellow. This yellow is actually a reflective one, so they will work at nighttime, not just during the day. And the whole idea is those 2 words, the shop and dine, and the arrow, of course, would get much, much bigger because that's what that's what brings people into your downtown that's what we want them to do, right? We want them to come wander the streets, shop in the stores, dine in our establishments down there. So that's in short what the proposal was, to take those candy cane signs that we do have that were designed to not highlight Colfax as a whole and our history, which the train picture that Harry showed is a fantastic one, and it would be a great one to be able to add to additional signage. But the whole purpose of these signs was to let people know that there was more into downtown. So to honor that original vision that they had, the proposal is that we come up with a design that is far more basic and easier to read and has a bigger arrow and focuses on the shop and dine, which is what our businesses need for downtown. In the council report, like I said, there is an actual study that has been put together. And it talks about best background colors, text colors, things like that. So we can go through that. More than anything, what I'm hoping for at this point is to get a council agreement to redesign those signs with a stronger focus on easy visibility. I love the reflectiveness, so we can use them at night as well. And big bold letters and a big arrow and shop and dine is your primary, focus on those signs. There's multiple sign vendors out there that we could obviously send this out to bid and get a couple other suggestions as to what to put on there if the council wanted to go that direction. Just so you kind of have an idea on a fiscal impact, the gentleman who put this together for us, his estimate was $350 a sign, and that's actually replacing the metal as well, because the ones that are out there, the stickers are lifting off of them. So it would fit right into those candy canes and replace them. The one other piece that could go with it is us to consider repainting, like a powder coat type idea, the actual candy cane themselves, so they're not black. Let's put something on them, you know, whether it's a stripe, you know, think of a barber's pole type idea, something so those colors will stand out a little bit more. I do love the classiness of black. However, when you're trying to get somebody's attention, I don't know if that's the best option when you're up against trees and things like that, which most of those signs are. So that's really where it was at. What did I miss?
We'll just remind council that the Downtown Historic Society, or
Yeah, because I
let's
know
talk
you
about
guys,
doing
yeah,
sign.
so I.
Want to work together on that signage.
If you want to put together a committee of some time, you know, to really down with those, I know you guys had been talking to, oh my, You've talked to Kathy, and I know you've talked to some of the business owners. I also have talked to Dave from Coco's. He was really trying to get Caltrans to put in the signs that, you know, the little blue signs that say, you know, pizza or ice cream, everything to direct it. So I know Dave's original idea was to get very specific as to what businesses were down there. And those are definitely things that could be add-ons to it if we wanted to consider putting something down on the bottom. There's a lot of ideas, but I mean, to me, the number one thing we hear all the time, you know, and it's just like Harry said as well, is people don't know downtown exists. So if we take those signs that we already paid for and put in and maximize the design and really go for the big fonts that are easy to read and the bigger arrows and go for that whole shop and dine process to get them pushed would be fantastic and much more useful for our businesses.
If I could add something to that, I think what comes first is brand. And so before we start, you know, picking colors and shapes and sizes and words and all that, we should figure out who we are. You know, what is Colfax downtown? And then start with that. That's what most marketing people do.
It's probably important to note, we did go through a pretty extensive branding process a few years ago. There definitely was, you know, much to be desired still coming out of that, but, you know, we did do a significant amount of work to at least unify branding and bring things up to a more professional standard. So, you know, while again, there is still quite a bit to be desired, you know, we moved in the right direction with that. And I would be supportive of forming a committee rather than just a basic subcommittee of 2 council members, though. I would be supportive of forming a formal committee where we're actually appointing members of the public to that as well. And then with the expectation that that committee would hold public workshops and come forward to council with a finalized recommendation and request for funding allocation. I mean, preliminarily, I would not be uncomfortable with spending, you know, $3,500 on this effort if that's what comes out of it. But, you know, I think that there's definitely been a lot of call to interest. There's a lot of expertise in the room. There's a lot of different opinions, and it would be really great. To Larry's earlier initiative, he's brought up a couple times since being on council. I think we do need more diversification, pulling the public into positions of power. And so this may be a great opportunity to test that out by forming a formal committee.
You know, just centralize it and put it in one place and have a workshop. Right now, we seem to have separate groups doing separate things, and it doesn't really help anything. Just creates competition and divisiveness, and we'd be better off to put it all in one place.
So I'd recommend a brief application period. Maybe we form a committee of a specific number, and, you know, we'll take those applications and maybe approve the committee at the next meeting if that's something you guys are open to.
Do you want to only have it include, I mean, because my thought is, like you said, some council members, some business owners, obviously the chamber, Erin, you know, with her historic society. Do we want to include a couple of basically professional sign individuals for their input at the same time at this point, or do you think those would be better off down the line?
The way I see it is, what I'd like to do is start with forming a committee with a specified number of people. So if we can agree on what the right number of people having authority on this committee would look like, whether or not the people on that committee are individuals, business owners, representatives of organizations, or subject matter experts, comes down to the quality of their application. But ultimately, I see no problem with them either serving as a committee member or as an advisor to that committee. I think that would be at the discretion of that committee once appointed. So even if, they don't want to come in as apply to be a committee member, there's no reason they can't bring that in once they set up their meetings.
I was just curious if you wanted them formally on the committee. I would expect the committee to come up with some ideas and reach out to companies and ask for proposals, but that's why I was just.
More diversity, the better.
Yeah, but it is one of those things that I think picking the number on the community committee is important because of course, if you get too many, then you just get stalemated and we don't get anywhere.
Yes.
Take like 9 people for something like that.
Yeah, I think it's obviously got to be an odd number because whatever that committee votes on is then what they will come and propose to council. And, in order to make sure we're leveling that power dynamic, I think it's a good idea to have 2 council members who are outnumbered. Because then we do still have a strong voice. We get to, come back here to have 3 other council members give a final opinion. But, ultimately there would be a very large chunk of diverse input with some teeth in it,
Mhm. Yep, that was gonna be my suggestion too, was forming a committee, so on the same page.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 9 people. That way it gives plenty of outnumbering for the council members, gives us an odd number, and that's a pretty good amount of, getting a pretty good diversity out of 9, a group of 9, as opposed to 5.
Yeah, and it gives people a really good shot of getting on the committee if they take the time to submit an application. I don't want to form an application. I don't want to create extra work for staff. I would just say if we can say, hey, please submit, a brief cover letter for why you'd like to do this and a resume if you feel that you would like to give your credentials. Email it to a specific inbox by whatever date you think is appropriate. I would like to be able, when we come back the first meeting in January, have the council members have looked at it. So I don't think it takes several weeks necessarily to accept applications.
It's the holidays, so you're gonna
True.
miss.
So maybe the
just
second
meeting in January would be good.
Yeah. So maybe if they turn them in by the first meeting in January,
there you go.
we will review them before the second meeting and then the council will do the
Well,
appointment.
that'll give us a time to maybe before the second meeting, just before the second, like a week before or something. That way we can give that second call out too for, hey, reminder, come put an
At least
application
a
in.
week before so we can get everything on the agenda.
Exactly.
Do we want to put a list together like, okay, so if it's 9 people, that's 2 council members. In my opinion, by default, it would be the chamber and somebody from Aaron's organization as well, and then 5 of our downtown business owners. Because that's really the angle. I mean, we're sending it downtown, so to me, it would make sense if it was 5 of our business owners. Do we want to put like those kind of guidelines or?
I'm comfortable right now with just keeping an application pool, saying it will be 2 council members and then 7 at large. And then what we'll do is we'll accept the applications up until 1 week prior to the second meeting in January. Staff will compile the received applications and send them to council at the same time that we get our meeting agenda. So it's just, it can be one really fat packet for us. And then we would be responsible for reviewing those applications. And then when we're doing the appointments, we can at that point agree, here's who I'd like to appoint and why.
I'm with Trinity on that. And I think a well-formed group can reach consensus.
Agreed.
It doesn't have to come to a vote.
Yep. All right. Let's make sure public's okay with this, and I'll take public comment. Aaron, you've been waiting patiently. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I kind of bulldozed.
Erin Newington with the Downtown Association. I just wanted to share with you guys how much research and stuff that we've done. As I mentioned before, we've met with multiple cities. We've met with the city planner. We understand what that project looks like. And I think it goes back to what Larry said, is sometimes I think Colfax gets an idea and they just throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. But there's no real overall concept of branding and marketing and how it will actually generate tourism dollars. And so we also have a mock-up That's very similar to, well, it's based on David Coco's idea as far as with all the different sign writers under it and expand that signage. And we also have a professional that does signs for other cities that's working on a mock-up. But I do think at the end of the day, it's not who has the prettiest signs, it's who has the brand that's going to bring people downtown. And one of the things that we're actively working on as an organization is rebranding our historic district. That's our mission, is focusing on how do we bring people to our historic district. And if you look at other cities and how they're marketing themselves, it's not just dine and shop, and I'm not putting down anybody's idea. But it's not just dine and shop or visit historic Colfax. It's no, we are making a well-known historic district brand so that people would want to come and visit it. Because I think sometimes, as was mentioned, and that the traffic's already there, we just need to redirect them. And the signage is really important, not only to tell them what's going to be there. With Dave's idea of, a bakery, a coffee shop, a pizza, whatever the general sign writers look like, and I can share that, his version of the sign. Excuse me. We have to have a concept. We have to have something that's marketable. We can't just slap something up on the sign because it looks good. And the whole idea that we have been working on is making, I couldn't agree more with the committee. As Kathy said, technically, all you have to do is pay the permit fee and you could actually change the signs. And I was like, well, that's kind of scary that it'd be that easy. And I do think that a product is always better when multiple people are involved. But some of those things that can be added to that brand is, so now you have these matching signs all the way down to point people down here. Now there's matching flags with the same brand on all the poles. And so it is, if you walk down to a historic Folsom area or even Grass Valley, there is a unified brand that they are using to market their city. And I would urge you to not look at this as a sign project, but it truly is a branding project.
Thank you.
I like Aaron's idea, and also I think we've talked a lot about signs this meeting, so it's interesting. I have one question though. Is there a way we can get those like brown signs with the white borders that you go like driving on a road trip and it's like tells you where to stop?
Talk about the historic
district signs.
Yeah, just like something that says, a brown sign. Like when I'm going on a road trip, I always see a brown sign, and
Sure.
that's how you know where to pull over and see. Like,
Yeah, that's Caltrans. So all of those are on state highways usually.
yeah, but we don't need it on the highway necessarily.
Well, there is one on 174 for the bench that's next to
for
the Red
paper
Frog.
marker, yeah.
Yeah, so there is one there.
But we can't get those for like historic downtown.
Yeah, we can.
areas.
Yeah, it's on the table.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I like the boring signs and the nice signs. But my last point is that's a lot of sign talk. So thank you.
Thank you. Harry?
Thank you, Trinity. That's exactly what we need. Thank you, Larry. And that's exactly why I made the presentation tonight, because we don't want to just slap paint on the pig one more time. We got to do this the right way. As far as credentials go, and I know that's going to be an issue. If I need letters of recommendations from all the businesses I've done in town, that's not a problem. Be happy to provide them. And I know some people have done their best to keep me out of here, but as far as I'm concerned, you need a continuum, like you're saying, Trinity, of a variety of people so that you can come up with a better idea collectively. And it has to be a short application process. It doesn't need to be gone with the wind, but that's what needs to happen. So thank you very much for bringing that up, you guys.
Thank you.
I think a couple of years ago, I led a brainstorming session at the Wrecking Crew, and we got a lot of input. And I'm not talking about my part in it. And Aaron grabbed a hold of that and ran off with it and had several meetings with a lot of people and probably has a distribution list. But somehow, if we start with a brand, I believe it'll end up with the right place. I have no more to say.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment?
I just want to say that I want you guys to consider how important it is to have the businesses involved in this. And so far, this is, only the second time I've heard about this as a downtown business. And I'm not sure I've talked to Paul and Lead, and I don't think any of us have been approached or had this discussed with. So just a reminder that we are the businesses downtown that we're focusing on driving people to. So I think that we need to be more involved in it.
Yeah, so running with Trinity's idea of trying to move relatively quickly on this. I know it's pretty easy to set up another email account with our service people. I mean, is it something we can make a simple graphic to be able to put out so we can provide it to the chamber to go out in their newsletter, in the next week? That, if you want to be part of this committee, here's the email, send us a letter as to why you should be a part of it. I mean, do we need to get any more involved than that to put it on our website, send it to the chamber, so they can send it out on their email? It goes out on Mondays, so. Yeah, absolutely. But we just, once we get it up, I mean. Yeah, so I mean, I would think if we just, if the direct, because of course you need direction, is to, contact our techie people and have them make an email. I mean, and heck, it can be revamping downtown. I don't know, come up with something like that. And then we can make a graphic pretty quick to send out to, we'll give it to Aaron and to the chamber to be able to push out to theirs, and then add that, you have the deadline for letters before the January.
I can put something together
Okay.
for staff, just so we don't have to, spend
Okay.
any staff hours
Yeah.
on it. I can send that over at some point tomorrow. Staff can make any adjustments they like, and I would ask that staff go ahead and do a push email notification like we do with the council agendas. And then I would also ask that staff specifically make sure that each business has acknowledged receipt of that request for applications. So if that means that, I know, Ron, you walk the city all the time. So if you're just handing out flyers as you're walking, I would just like to make sure that we do get some form of verbal or written acknowledgement from the businesses that they are aware of it, so that we can make sure that nobody is coming into the next meeting and saying, no one took the time to tell me. I don't want that to be the case.
I would say for a deadline, if we're gonna make the decision at the
second meeting.
Yeah, so like the deadline would be like Monday, the 19th, because our meeting would be the 28th. Our meetings are the 14th and the 28th in January.
Is that gonna put you guys in a crunch if we give people till the 21st to apply? I know the agenda usually comes out the Friday prior to the meeting. Do you need more time?
Usually I try to have everything start building back by Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, so if we say the 19th, that's still.
That's the
a really good
Monday.
amount of time.
Yeah, because I mean, the staff report portion should be able to be done, and then we just add the letters to it before when they
Okay.
come in. So if we make the deadline the January 19th.
Okay, perfect. And then you're saying a specific email address so that we can keep it clean. I think that's a great idea.
I think doing it right is more important than doing it in a hurry.
For sure.
So the
100%.
21st or whenever that is, whenever the second meeting is, 28th.
Yeah.
It's the 28th.
And have,
Yeah.
The 19th gives people well over a month to consider and apply, and we're not asking them to fill out a special form. We're just having you I mean, it could be an email. You don't have to make a separate PDF. I'm interested, and here's why I'm interested. That's all we're asking.
So is the council proposing to form the committee tonight, or
No.
are you going to wait until the 28th?
We're gonna wait until the 28th,
Okay.
and form it at that time once we've had time to receive people's interest.
Okay, because what you could do is form the committee tonight and have the committee handle the application process. No?
No, because the committee will be those applicants.
No, I get that, but you're talking about forming a committee with 2 council members. You could do that tonight and have the 2 council members run the application process.
I think it would be better if we just go ahead and vet it. at the
Okay.
council.
And the other thing I wanted to mention is you are aware you're forming a Brown Act committee.
What's that?
That you are aware you're forming a
Yeah.
Brown Act committee?
Yes, we
Okay,
are.
just wanted to be clear about that.
Yes.
Okay.
And Connor, I don't know what your notes was, but it was to specify that once we have it, it's going out on the city email list that we have. And we will make sure to get it to the chamber and to the downtown association as well, so they can push it out on their mailing list. And then also, of course, we'll print out some hand flyers to get distributed as well to downtown.
Okay, my notes are standing committee, 2 council members, 7 members at large. Staff is directed to set up an email for the committee, set a deadline for applications, which is going to be the 19th, 1/19/26. Post notice of the committee and the applications on the city's website. Send email notifications to all of the downtown associations, and then print up and distribute flyers for the committee. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. That works.
All right. Any other questions or comments from public? Anything else from council? All good? Staff direction clear? All right, great. Move on to item 8F, the Winterfest event update. Caroline, you want to go ahead and give the update? It's all you.
It's all me.
Unless, Ron, did you have something prepared?
Just gonna introduce it.
Yep, it's Winterfest.
It's Winterfest.
Here's the update.
Winterfest. Do you like it?
Nah.
First things first, the weather is looking fantastic for the weekend. My grandmother's listened and pushed that storm off further down, so we're good to go. I first am gonna give a huge shout out to Sean, who has kicked some serious tail in the realm of getting his donations in. And Sean has pulled in $8,700 in donations, and we know that there is, I'm sorry, 8,200, not counting the 500 from the city, because he didn't have to work hard for that. So 8,200, and he said we still have one more check coming, we can't see, right? Hopefully, yeah, so in theory, there should.
Not calling anybody out.
That's right, we're not gonna call him out. So he's done a fantastic job with that. That being said, the income we have from the vendors, which we are basically completely full from a vendor standpoint. We have basically $5,000 from the vendors. There's potentially 300 more that say their check is in the mail. They're trying to give me more gray hair with it not being here yet. So that being the case, with what the expenditures are, I don't think we need to borrow any of your $5,000.
That's
Which also
fantastic.
means instead of the council normally giving out $5,000 to $10,000 for the fireworks, the council may give out $500. So that keeps a whole bunch of money into that. So Sean gets a huge round of applause.
Yeah, so it's. So presently, without the $5,000 donation, removing that, you are $45 ahead of the game.
We are. So with Hanson's coming in and hopefully 2 to 3 more vendors coming in, we should absolutely be just fine with the funding without that extra money. So that leaves more in the other account, which is fantastic. We do have, everything's been ironed out on the parade. We know the route, we've tried to publish it very well with the parade route is changing. There's additional signage that's gonna be going up over here on the Church Street side to just let people know that the parade will not be running down this block or on South Main, so that part's taken care of. We had our meeting with the CHP and CAL FIRE, and everybody's happy with how everything is going along. The street closure signs went up. Our public works put those up for us. So the street closure on Saturday morning officially is at 10. The email that went out to all the vendors so they could start coming in as early as 11 to set up. And then we'll be good to go for a 2 o'clock start time. The theater is decorated for Santa, so everybody will get to see Santa in the theater next door. That got done today. And then we have 4 public works staff that will be on duty the whole time. Usually we only have 2 and they split it in half. Or I'm sorry, they won't be on the whole time. We will have 4, 2 and 2. We'll have more than usual. That way they'll be able to help us maintain with the trash cans and clean up and stuff. Usually what the organization that's sponsoring it is doing, our public works is doing that for us, which is fantastic for the end of the night. You have to clean up the trash. The trash cans should be delivered, I'm thinking Friday is what they were supposed to be delivered, Friday or Saturday? Okay, the porta potties are coming in on Friday and will be picked up on Monday. I think Sean and I are gonna be out there all day. From early on, as soon as the vendors start coming in, so we can direct them to where they need to be. Answer questions, it's always a little hectic first thing in the morning, and that comes to the request from you three. We have an information booth that has to be staffed throughout the whole event, which is basically from 2 to 8 o'clock. It'll be right in front of the caboose. Railroad Days is gonna provide the pop-up and the tables and some chairs and stuff, since the city doesn't have that stuff for that type of an event. So I'm wondering if between the three of you, you might be able to work out a schedule time-wise to man that booth for us, so that there's always somebody there. It kind of becomes a lost and found, and we'll always have, we'll have the maps and the schedule and things out there as well. So we don't have to put our staff over there who should be helping do trash and things like that. Is it possible that you guys can figure out some shifts?
Can we direct staff to organize those shifts? Because I want to make sure we don't accidentally Brown Act violation on it.
Well, I mean, if we can book it right now, we don't have to worry about that. I don't know if you can look at your schedules, or, I mean, if either, whoever knows their schedule or what their availability is for that day.
Give me a sec.
So the event time is from 2 to 8. The booth will be, Public Works will set that, the pop-ups and all that stuff up for us. But if we can have, one of the three of you there from that, like 1:30 to 8:30, we can split that up however it works in your schedules. That would be phenomenal to not have to find bodies for that spot.
So the joy of being a basketball parent is when there's tournaments, you don't know until the day of.
Okay.
So I may have to be the one who's like last to give an answer. So I apologize. I don't know my schedule for weekends for the foreseeable future.
I'll do a shift. I'll just remain flexible.
Okay.
I'll do whatever is needed.
Okay.
And for me, Saturday's a big football day. However, Penn State has disgraced itself this year. And so I'm no longer watching any football. So I'm available anytime.
Okay.
You want to work out then?
Yeah.
Among yourselves?
Yeah, if you two want, discuss how to split it, and then once we know Trinity's schedule, she can let Ron know if she can relieve you guys kind of in the middle, if that would work.
I'll just do the middle one.
Well, my thought is if we just schedule 2 shifts right now, and then once Trinity knows for sure, we can split it and she can kind of divide you guys in the middle. If that works, once she knows her schedule. So who would like the first portion of the shift? The what are we doing? That's 7 hours, right? So 3.5 hours. So that's 1:30 to 5 would be the first shift. If we only have 2 of you. So who would like 1:30 to 5 and who would like 5 to 8:30?
Take the first one.
Awesome, thank you, Larry.
I'll pick what's left over.
Okay, and then obviously if Trinity ends up available, we'll shorten both your shifts and she can squeeze in there in the middle.
So I'm sure I'm available for some portion. I just don't know which yet.
Yeah, once you know, just let Ron know and then he can make those adjustments as needs be, so we can not do that whole violation. Make a Brown Act exception if we ever do this again. This makes a complete.
I'm wondering if shared calendar would be right.
Right. Other than that, I mean, I think we're pretty much, everything is wrapped up and ready to go. I know the staff already started putting out the barricades for us to get ahead of the game. I picked up our two, what was the official phrase on it? Hold on, I gotta look it up. We had fun names for our vendors. So our 2 North Pole presenting sponsors, which means they gave us over $2,500. They each got a big old banner with their logo on it. So I believe Pioneer is the official fireworks sponsor, and I think A&A got the beer garden. So they have their own banners. Those got picked up today. And then we have the only other banner to make is all of our sponsors in total. And I'm just trying to get those logos. They don't get credit because I steal them from the internet. But that's it. So I don't think there's anything else. Cecilia in the office has been amazing dealing with all these apps that have been coming in and trying to answer the phone calls and get it done. So I think good.
I think it's awesome that we're going to come up with a gain. And I was just wondering what we would do with it.
I mean, it's hard to say what's gonna be left, but we hopefully will get a little bit of money back in from the bar. So whether we want to put it into our nonprofit fund, whether we want to come up with another project that improves downtown, whether, I think there's a lot of options. I don't know if there's a lot of conversation to have till we know how much that is. and what we can
We
do with
can't
it.
decide now anyway, right? We're not deciding anything in this
Yeah.
topic. So
Yeah,
it's a nice problem to have.
it is. And I will say my most exciting part, if you didn't catch it on the Facebook event, we have Highland mini cows coming. I'm sorry, it's goofy. There'll be fuzzy things to pet. There's furry cows coming. I'm very excited about them, so. Oh, and we will have live music in the bar as well. Michael Cox is gonna come and he's gonna play in the bar, so we'll have some live tunes going over there in addition to our caroling that happens at 5. I think that's it. I don't know if I forgot anything, but that's all I can remember.
Great. Any questions from the public? Comments from the public?
In the park, in the lot of art right here. Yep. That's the best one for them to put it in because it's already 3/4 the way enclosed to do it over there. Which if we want to discuss entertainment areas when we have events, so the bar doesn't have to pay for fencing and things like that, that'd be a great conversation to have. Auburn just did them for Old Town. Just throwing it out there for down the line.
Entertainment zone?
Yes, it would make it so much easier for our big events if we could have an entertainment zone. That's right. So they could walk and check out the vendors at the same time and you just make the entertainment zone, whether it's North Main and South Main or include the railroad. And then we don't have to do, because it's hard, especially if you have kids and you want to go get one drink. What do you do with the kids and whatnot? So it seems like there's more and more communities that are adopting that. In my opinion, it should be specifically for events. I think Auburn's, is on the weekends because all of Old Town is counted into it and Auburn did it for all their weekends. I think it's like Friday through Sunday or something. So, yeah. It's a conversation to have.
Any other public comment on this item? No? Nothing online? Great. And we will move on to item 8G, such a busy agenda tonight. Connor, do you want to kick us off for the 2025 grand jury report
I believe
response?
this one's mine. Yeah. The Placer County Grand Jury met and evaluated cities within Placer County's their compliance with certain ethics laws. They looked at whether cities had adopted a code of ethics, a conflict of interest code, and they looked at officials' compliance with financial disclosures and ethics training. And they made various findings, and the city is required to respond to those findings. So I did so. There's a letter attached to the staff report, and the ask here is for the council to approve the letter, and I will submit it back to the grand jury. The letter is late. It took me longer than is preferred to go through the report, but I think you'll find it's a thorough review of the findings and recommendations. And I can go into more detail, but I'm happy to answer any questions the council might have.
Council questions?
I just found it very comprehensive, more so than I expected. So I guess from this point, we just wait to see what their response was.
I mean, they won't have any further response. They do findings and make recommendations. The letter states that the council will take up some of the recommendations when it readopts the conflicts code, which is a biannual process. So this will come back in May 26th, some of these recommendations.
Any other council questions? No?
I would just make a comment that some of the items within the purview of the report, some of the recommended findings and such are things that we had discussed addressing within our council policies as well. And so while there is overlap, I think it's a good opportunity to resurrect that effort. I know me and Carolyn are appointed to subcommittee to bring some recommendations up to council. Me and Carolyn had discussed that a couple meetings ago. But we did say that we would delay meeting on the subject until after the first of the year. So I think there is an intention that we will continue that conversation starting in January. I would make a recommendation to council that in addition to us, reviewing and accepting this letter to be sent to the grand jury, that we would also potentially delegate review of these items because it does say that we will be reviewing and making recommendations. I would ask the council go ahead and assign the review of these items to that same subcommittee so that we can just go over it in one fell swoop and bring it all to council in May. So then we'll work with Connor and come forward with recommendations as appropriate that not just encompass this, but also encompass our broader policies.
All right.
Public
We'll
comment.
take a public comment on this item again. No public comment? All right. I'm fine with that request of having the same committee work on it. Makes sense.
Then I didn't include a resolution, but if I could get a motion to approve the letter, and I'll go ahead and finalize the letter.
I'll go ahead and move approval of the letter in addition to the assignment of responsibility for the review of these items to that subcommittee.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Connor, for your work on that. I know it was very in-depth and required a bunch of time. All right, item 8H, our final item of business tonight, the rotation of mayor and mayor pro tem. Both appointments will be made by separate motions. We'll go ahead and start this one off with public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? No? All right, awesome. Oh, all right.
I'll be great. Here we go.
Yeah, you just beat it out there. I was just about to close it. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. So I wanted to take a moment for anyone in the room to fully, maybe not everybody understands how an incorporated city like Colfax is actually structured. Colfax operates under what's called a council manager form of government. And that means that the city manager does not set policy, he does not decide on direction, and he does not choose our priorities. Those decisions belong entirely to the city council. You five are the strategy table for our town. You decide whether Colfax focuses on revitalization, housing, tourism, infrastructure, business development, or preservation. You decide where our resources go. You decide what direction we grow or whether we stagnate. And within that structure, the mayor role is not ceremonial, it's procedural power. So the mayor presides over meetings, controls the flow of discussion, works with staff on what happens on the agenda, helps determine when items are scheduled, how quickly they come forward, and how they move through the process. They set the tone for how debate is handled. They act as a primary representative for Colfax to outside agencies, county leadership, and the public. That means the mayor doesn't just cast a vote. The mayor plays a significant role in shaping what comes before the council and when. For example, a mayor can fast track priorities they support. They can slow walk issues they don't agree with. A mayor can shape whether voices in the community feel invited into the process or shut out. All of this happens before a single vote is ever taken. That's why the decision tonight is so very important. It affects how this council functions for the next year and how the public experiences its own government. And because of that, the character, judgment, and leadership style of the mayor matters deeply. Not because of personality, but because of process, transparency, collaboration, and trust. So tonight, you're not just selecting a presiding officer, you are choosing the tone of this council, the openness of a public process, the way disagreement is handled, and the momentum or stagnation of Colfax. Sorry. turn the page. Here we go. So our community needs you to choose a leader that is steady, transparent, collaborative, and focused on the long-term good of the entire town. Not one that benefits one organization, not one that benefits one interest group, but what Colfax, how Colfax can benefit as a whole. So I'd like to leave you with this thought. There's a difference in leadership and control, and the community can always feel the difference.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Taylor Moore. This is not an easy place for me to be tonight. In truth, I am uncomfortable standing here. I didn't want to come forward, but I also cannot become complacent when I believe something important is at stake in our community. As you consider who will rotate into the position of mayor, I truly believe that Trinity or Kim would serve this role best. My concern is that the next person in line has not shown the collaborative leadership that the mayor's position requires. A mayor must act as part of a unified team, not as an authority figure. Over the past year, I have witnessed behaviors that give me pause. A lack of transparency, and I can do what I want mentality, dismissing nonprofits and businesses, and emotional outbursts during meetings and events. These actions do not reflect the steady, community-centered leadership this role demands. Additionally, I believe the mayor should be an elected position. The individual currently set to rotate into that role was not elected to the council, and that raises further concern. I share this respectfully and with the hope that the council chooses leadership that truly represents and serves the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Any other public comment? Please.
Thank you, council members. My name is Gretchen Boyce. I'm a resident of Colfax. I just want to say that I've been coming to these meetings last year and observing. I have never spoken to you before. And I used to be a planner in San Francisco, and I've seen many community meetings. And I thank you all for your service because I know it's a thankless job. But I also think that there are some members of the council who directly benefit from the fiscal allocations of the council. And I do not believe that anyone that fiscally benefits from the budgeting and allocation of funds should be the mayor of the city. And so I just wanted to state that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I found the report interesting, but I didn't get any interesting takeaways from the conflict of interest presentation that Connor put together. I'm curious what findings came from that, and if so, and my comment mostly on that is that I think.
We're on
sorry.
Item 8H.
Yeah, we
I
had,
can't. Oh yeah.
we had public comment for the last item. Close.
Yes. Well, what I'm trying to say is that I think that it's hard to have conflicts of interest on the board and stuff.
I'm happy to talk to you about the grand jury report after the meeting.
Never mind, I'm done.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment?
Mayor, I have someone on the Zoom who has their hand raised.
Great. Yes, Zoom attendee, Rebecca.
Yep.
Hey there. Can
Hello.
everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, you have my school analytical description up there. That's funny. Thanks for letting me speak, council. This has been quite a long meeting. It's a little bit unfortunate this is at the end, but it is what it is. I'm glad people stuck around. I am, like some other people here, here to voice my concerns about the appointment of Carolyn McCauley as mayor. I think also I'm concerned about her appointment to the Bianchini Advisory Board, as I mentioned earlier, and her essentially remaining on council. And there's a couple reasons why I'm concerned. I think that there's a pretty good community turnout here about the mayoral appointment. And I know that there are many people that wanted to be here that felt like they couldn't because Carolyn has shown a lot of bullying behavior and they feel like she's going to retaliate against them. This behavior is well known in Colfax at this point. She has a reputation for yelling and screaming at people in town. And I just would like to point out there's no situation where we need to be yelling at volunteers or anyone who's working at any event. I think that this behavior shows a lack of emotional control, and I think it's unprofessional. Um, Additionally, speaking about conflicts of interest, I think Caroline is involved in many events that request funds from the city. Um, but she's also a person who can vote to disperse those funds. And so even if she recuses herself from the events she spearheads, she still has significant incentive to maybe not vote for other nonprofits because funds are limited. We heard this from her when she said that Sierra Soar should not receive funds because Winterfest needed money. That happened several council meetings ago. So we know this is already in her mind. To be clear, voicing this opinion feels really uncomfortable. And it's not about bashing Caroline, actually. I don't think she volunteers her time and works really hard because she doesn't care about Colfax. I think it's the opposite. She clearly cares, and I want her to continue to participate as long as she can act professionally and avoid these conflicts of interest. Um, and understand that the council member's behavior is really a representation of all of us here. Colfax needs a mayor that can represent us well. There are real needs in this community, like we were talking about earlier, business development, city planning, emergency management, community reputation. These things are actually important, and our community's success is tied to the council's leadership. So I hope the council and Caroline can hear this plea as a wake-up call. Caroline is not currently able to appropriately represent this town because in addition to the glaring conflict of interest issues, she really lacks the emotional maturity to be mayor. I don't want Colfax to be known as the town with the screaming, bullying mayor. Please do not put us in that position. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Again, my name is Brandy Morris, and I have inculcated myself into Colfax. I've lived here for 8 years, raising my children here. I'm at sports events. I'm at every event we have. I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm helping conduct multiple different events. And I've gotten to know many of you by being at those events in the community. And I just want to say that I've always seen Caroline conduct herself in a professional manner, always going above and beyond for our community. And I think she'll make a great mayor, and I would be proud for her to represent Colfax.
Any other public comment?
I'd just like to say, Caroline Glenn Preston, the Wrecking Crew Bakery, that is not the side I see of Caroline. I think she's done a very good job in representing our city, and I would support her being our mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? No? Nothing else online? All right, thank you. Okay, good.
I was asked to make a
Yeah,
brief comment
stay.
about the role of the mayor. Colfax has what's known as a weak mayor form of government. The mayor is the chair of the meeting. They have authority over parliamentary procedure, but it's ultimately the city manager who's the executive of the city. And city manager also controls the agenda, has authority to prepare the agenda, has an important role in what comes before the city council. So I just wanted to briefly clarify those comments. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any direct comments from council right now? I can kick it off. Work with Caroline as mayor and vice mayor through this entire year. She's got to say she's been incredibly involved and done a great job working behind the scenes, doing stuff to make sure that the city is running good. She is definitely an amazing representative for the city as far as getting the public voice out there, making sure we're represented and that people know about Colfax and what Colfax is about. She's done a lot of events, done a lot of stuff. Sometimes to get stuff done, can't always have everybody agree with you. And not everything can be all hugs and kisses. So, I understand that sometimes personalities don't match, but from what I've seen, as far as what Caroline has done over the last year, helping me and helping the city operate, she's done an amazing job. So I just want to throw that in there for council consideration. I'll go ahead and take other comments from the council if there's any. No?
Excuse me, I have
Just
one
comments.
comment that I brought up with Connor. I hate to be the one to bring this up, but we have a conflict in our policy.
What's that?
And I mentioned it to Connor, but I'd rather let him speak to it.
Yes, I'm happy to comment on this. The policies, the city adopted a policy for how the mayor rotates. It's a completely discretionary policy. The council may deviate from the policy. But it's a little bit ambiguous as written. It says both that, let me get to it here. It says both that the council, on non-election years, which this is a non-election year, the council shall, by majority vote of a quorum present in voting, select its mayor and mayor pro tem for the ensuing year. But then it goes on to say, this is the process the council will follow each time the mayor and mayor pro tem is selected. The mayor pro tem shall be seated as mayor, and then the council shall, by majority vote of a quorum present, select and voting, select one of its members to serve as the mayor pro tem. So it's my interpretation of the city's policy that the mayor pro tem automatically becomes the mayor, and then the council votes to select a new mayor pro tem who will rotate into the seat next year. But the council is, of course, authorized to choose a different method of selecting the mayor and mayor pro tem. And I know Mayor Lohman has asked to take a vote on both offices. Is that right?
Yep.
So if the council would like to proceed in that matter, that's fine.
I'll throw that out there.
Okay.
So.
Then I would ask you to make a motion to vote on both offices separately.
Okay. So.
And we would fix our policy going forward also, right? To
That's
correct
probably a
the-
good idea.
Yeah, we
Because
can.
it's more than an ambiguity, it's a conflict, right?
It's the policy committee, right?
Yep, that would be a policy committee item. So, any other comments?
I mean, I think before we move forward, I think the policy can be harmonized to read the mayor pro tem automatically rotates into the seat of mayor, and then the council takes a vote to appoint that person as mayor and another person as mayor pro tem. That would be a way to harmonize the policy. But we could choose a different path, and I think that's what Sean would like to make a motion to do now.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with moving forward as written, and I would like to make the motion that Caroline move into the mayor's seat. I understand there's some ambiguity out there, and but I think I really am working with her and working with her in the city processes and the meetings we've gone to, I think she has the knowledge, skills, ability, and demeanor to be able to help the city, make the city function at its best. I think she is a good candidate for it.
I'd like to hear Carolyn's thoughts. What would she like? I mean, there's been a lot of Carolyn this, Carolyn that tonight, so I kind of want to hear from Carolyn. Because I'll tell you, I'm in a very uncomfortable spot right now.
I have never found it useful to get into a argument to try to defend myself when it comes to anything, when things are not laid out to be black and white. I am happy to address any specific situations or accusations, but broad, vague statements, you can never win if you try to argue against them, in my opinion. I know exactly the instance that Rebecca is referring to, and I'm happy to go into it if somebody really wants the information behind it. I know that there's been questions and concerns in regards to me being the president of Railroad Days. And I'm going to say that if one of the qualifications for being on the council is you cannot have members that are on the boards of any other nonprofits, you just cut off yourself at the knees of having people that are willing to work hard for your community. You have so many nonprofits in this community that have multiple members on their boards and as members. So if you consider that a conflict of interest, you have now knocked off anybody on the chamber board or a member of the chamber, anybody on the SVC board, anybody, I mean, we could list all of them, you know? So.
Can I say one thing to the conflict of interest? So I just want to say one thing to the conflict of interest too. We have vetted this process with the Fair Political Practices Commission.
Oh, did you actually?
Yes, we've actually had an opinion submitted based on council members working for nonprofits or working with nonprofits and council members like me being a volunteer firefighter in order to be on council and be able to vote on stuff like this. And it has been vetted that because we do not have a personal monetary gain from these activities, that we do not have the requirement to recuse ourselves from these actions. It's taken by council.
Yeah, do we have a letter specific to Carolyn's situation?
Well, I'm just.
Not specific for her situation. Not specific for her situation. My letter came down as yes, for my specific situation and in these situations. It was not just a specific for my situation because that's what I was asked to get, but also. So yeah, we're not going to speak out. So.
That was the 2018 decision, correct?
Yes, it was the 2018 decision that was made. We can direct Connor to go back and ask again for an updated opinion. But as it stands right now, as far as the Fair Political Practices Commission is concerned, all the laws and regulations and everything that goes along to govern how we do this and work with nonprofits, there is not a legal conflict of interest. So.
I'm sorry. It just
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, please come on up. I'll leave public comment open.
Todd Saylor, 246 North Canyon. It seems like there's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I got the same thing being the fire captain and voting on stuff.
The fire captain has nothing to do with the city council, though.
No,
You have to.
I was on the
understand-
city council.
You have to understand that that is a completely different thing. You can be on any board that you want to be, but you can't be in the city council making decisions for the boards. Like that's a conflict of interest, and that's what everyone is saying. I'm
So
wondering how you can't see that.
If legally, it is not a conflict of interest because you are not standing in to gain anything monetarily. You can act in the best interest of that nonprofit if you're a part of it or board or organization.
Okay.
But the distinction is, do you have a monetary gain from that activity, or is it just the nonprofit benefiting from that?
Okay, so thank you. So you were asked that the last comment that you would address that. What is she talking about?
You mean the comment that I made that I would explain the situation? Is that?
Yeah, I'm just curious. actually.
Okay, so when I was putting railroad days together for this last year, one of our model train groups sent me an email that he had received from the Sierra Vista Center, inviting them to come to be a part of our town's railroad days and set up their model train at the Sierra Vista Center as part of the Colfax Railroad Days event. Well, and his response was, I don't know who you are. I am working with Caroline as part of Railroad Days, and we're already going to be there. And the response he got was, oh, it's the exact same event. So I believe technically he was the vice president of the Sierra Vista Center, was soliciting groups under the name of Colfax Railroad Days to come and be a part of it up at the Sierra Vista Center. They were using our name, which now puts me at a huge liability for insurance. The Sierra Vista Center was sent a cease and desist letter from using the Colfax Railroad Days name. So here comes Railroad Days, and over the Lions use the gazebo for the they do barbecue and they sell things along those lines. Well, the vice president of the Sierra Vista Center, I believe that was the title this individual had, happens to be the son of the president of the Lions Club and Rebecca's significant other. And over, propped up against the edge of the gazebo, was a full-size poster board advertising model trains up at the Sierra Vista Center. Well, when you do an event, that space basically belongs to you. And another organization cannot come in and advertise their event at it.
Sure.
So I walked over there and I picked up the sign and I brought it back into my booth and put it back in the information booth. And this gentleman came over and screamed and yelled at me for grabbing his public property. And he walked back and I walked back over there and I told him, I said, you had already been told that you were not allowed to use the Colfax Railroad Days name. You were sent a letter. And I turned to Chris, who was the organizer, the Lions chairperson for that particular event, who happened to also be his mother. And I said, Chris, the Lions have two choices. You can either make sure these signs go down, or you can pack up and leave. Because this individual has already been told they do not get to use our name and solicit themselves as part of the Railroad Days event. Because that, like I said, that my liability goes through the roof at that point. If something was to happen up there, somebody says, well, I went to Railroad Days, but that's not my space. I don't insure that space. I have no control over it. But when it comes down to a legal thing, they're going to say, I went to Railroad Days. They told me this was part of Railroad Days.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So, two things. Do you think that your actions were justified? Because that's what you're on the hot seat here for.
100%. If that sign had been outside of the venue space, I never would have said a thing about it.
Would you do that again?
Would I go and remove the sign again?
It seems like I've gotten in trouble for doing things like that, and I had to step back and I had to calm down, and I had to call the police actually and get them involved. So I didn't take the law into my own hands. Number two, Fred Abbott, Jim Wood, they've all done Railroad Days. Neither one of them were on the city council. How did it become that the city council is in charge of the three biggest events in this town? That to me it's peculiar. I don't know of other cities that do things like that, but I've been coming to meetings long before I've seen any of you except for that guy. Yeah, and curmudgeon man, and he I've never seen the city in charge of these events. Yes, it has been other nonprofits, but how did it become that the city is involved with these things? Because it is different to me, and that's kind of why I came here tonight, because I'm curious of how this has happened and why it's happening. It seems like it's a massive conflict of interest, and I don't think that I'm the only one.
we are getting kind of off topic with the conflict of interest talk and talking about events because that was on another spot, but I will answer your
Okay.
question real quick. So we had a bunch of nonprofits doing the events. Green Machine stopped doing events, Chamber of Commerce stopped doing events. So basically, Caroline took over Railroad Days because the Abbotts who started the event were looking for someone to pass it on to. She got the event. Was that before you were on council?
It was.
So she got Railroad Days event before she was on council, set that all up, followed with their, their nonprofit and did all that. So she already had that before she got on council. 3rd of July, we're not doing 3rd of July. There's a separate nonprofit for that. And yes, there is. And it's there's another, we've had other nonprofits take care of the 3rd of July. So we're not doing that event. We do help sponsor these events through the nonprofit fund that we set up. So the events and other nonprofit needs. This year, because of scheduling issues, we didn't have a nonprofit that was able to pick up the event. We thank you for waving your arm. We'll get a chance to talk. We had a drop dead date of this is the date we need to have permits pulled by somebody, or we need to figure something out, or the event's not going to happen. So we had a workshop on that day. The nonprofit that was interested was not able to make it because they were doing another event. We were aware that how interested they were and that they were planning on doing the event. And that was Aaron's, the Historic Colfax Foundation. And so we ended up taking the event on ourselves.
So you're open to allowing these events go to somebody else because it's
we want nothing more than a nonprofit to take these events. That the city's place should not be operating these events. It shouldn't be doing anything except we shouldn't be, in my opinion, we shouldn't be, and I'm getting off topic, so I gotta stop, but we should not be assigning these events or anything. We should just be given money. So, but that is why we ended up in this position with Winterfest. Railroad Days was already under Caroline before she got on council, and 3rd of July has already been handled by somebody else. But we had the workshop, we had a drop dead date, and that only gave us 30 days basically to scrape everything together at that drop dead date. So we were at crunch time, but that's why it ended up like that.
If I can add this comment, and I don't know if it will make you feel any better.
Well, I don't want to try to feel better.
No,
My point is,
let me
it
make
seems like
comment,
there's
sir.
a lot of animosity in this room, and I've never seen this before.
Well,
Never. And
when you get a
I've
group
been to
together-
lots and lots of these city council meetings. I've never seen anything like this.
I have no problem saying that I will not come and ask for any funding from the city for Railroad Days. I have no problem saying that I will no longer come to the city of Colfax and ask for any funding for the Railroad Days event. I will step up my game on fundraising. If that will make anybody decide there's not a conflict of interest, that's fine. If the city has always been a part of it, because the city became the sponsor of the train ride, which I made free. So the city provided that for the community and all of our visitors. I have no problem committing to not coming to the council and asking for money and not asking for their support, and I won't put their name on the train ride because they didn't pay for it. I don't care.
It seems like the mayor asking for money, it seems like a huge conflict of interest. You know, I mean, it seems like a massive conflict of interest.
I have no problem with making that promise that I will not come for Railroad Days and ask money to put on the Railroad Days event.
I'm recording.
Go right ahead. It's already recorded for you, quite fortunately. I have absolutely no problem making that commitment that I will not continue to ask for any funding for the Railroad Days event. That's fine.
That was my only question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna keep the comments back toward
Yep. Quick question.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I might have a misunderstanding and I want to just address like where it gets sticky. My understanding is that the 3rd of July, the Railroad Days organization filed a DBA to do business as the 3rd of July.
This is.
But it has to do with, this.
I am curious about the answer to this because, it sounds like I just heard that a separate nonprofit organization was formed for the Colfax 3rd of July.
So.
Oh,
So there is a
Didn't-
DBA, but there is not.
no, it is.
All right. Wait, we're getting way off topic here.
I feel
Should,
like it does affect my decision, so I would like to know the answer.
okay,
So I looked on, this is kind of I'm not trying to create drama. Came here with my intention to say the speech, but this is really the core and the root of the problem. If a nonprofit it seems like it's being misrepresented to the public what it really is. And that transparency piece is what's creating a lot of heartburn in the community. And I can't speak for the community, but I can speak for myself. And so when you come to the podium and you tell us that you've created, and I could be wrong, but you tell us that that you've created a new entity and it's called 3rd of July, that is not accurate. You are operating as Railroad Days, as a DBA of Railroad Days. So it gives you permission to run a branding campaign for that event under that name. It's still the same umbrella. And so when you come to the public and you say things like, events are getting split off and assigned to somebody's organization who has inside information and has like a first in line attitude, right? Because some of the things that were said last meeting were whoever gets there first and files the permit wins. I think that's a crappy culture. I think we need some policies around that. And I think when you start misrepresenting who's really running those organizations, it gets a little sketchy.
Okay.
And so let
Thank
me
you.
finish, please.
We're too far off topic. I mean, honestly, we're not. This is
sick. This is the core of the problem though.
okay. Wait, hold on. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to yell that by the audience when I'm trying to explain. So this topic is mayor pro tem rotation. We're not getting that far into the weeds on it. You had your question about the DBA. We've already talked about we can answer that question. I'm more than happy to, because I did open it up kind of with answering Rebecca's question and pointing out the conflict of interest. But now we're going off conflict of interest to which nonprofits are running what. So it's kind of just getting too far off topic. We can say something good of the order and we can bring something back up if you'd like to keep talking about this particular subject, but I got to keep it back on track. So we can answer your DBA question.
My DBA question's already been answered. I looked it up online. It's running all under Railroad Days nonprofit organization. And so I'm not trying to get in the weeds. This is literally the core of the issue and why we feel like that this isn't a good decision. I run the historic Colfax Downtown Association. I live in the city of Colfax. Should I decide to run for city council, which I'm completely eligible to do, my personal humble opinion is I need to leave my board and I need to plug into that position if I chose to go that direction, because it would be a conflict of interest. It would put my organization in the front line. I would be in awkward situations where I'm getting an event before somebody else. And all this stuff creates all this torment between organizations, the community. The community is clearly confused because they've been told that this is a second entity. And technically, like on your 700 forms, you're supposed to disclose, and I'm not an attorney, but we do have one on our board. You're supposed to disclose any organizations in which you are operating as a nonprofit, and especially if they're receiving money from the city. So it all feels very untransparent. And that's, I think, the biggest issue with a lot of this heartburn and this decision. It's not that Carolyn doesn't go out and work her butt off for the city, because I can't take that away from her. It's all these little back room deals that are happening, in addition to some personality challenges. And then it basically erodes the trust of the community. And that's what we're witnessing tonight.
Thank you. Come on up.
Yeah, I just have one. I'm sorry for I got a little nervous last time, but I think that I think my public comment is a kind of about Caroline, you're talking about specific instances, and I'll just start by saying, like, I'm completely new to government. I'm completely new to Colfax. I came and knew nothing about Colfax or government, and kind of took it upon myself to go to different government meetings and figure all that kind of stuff out. And sometime last year when we were talking about the tables, I don't know if you guys remember the dining table situation of last year. We talked about that for like 4 or 5 council meetings where, oh, what do we do with the tables? We move them up, we move them down, we do this. What about the handicap thing? I think, that was a time when I think that, oh my gosh, it was an intense issue, but we had a lot of positive discussion about it. I think that the council also did a good job of responding to the public feedback on those issues, but for me, that kind of got killed when we came to a council meeting and it was like, we all decided, let's move the tables over 1.5 parking spaces. And then the next day when we came into town, there was now 2 areas of tables. And that was kind of, for me, it felt like a disruption of the process, because now there's always been 2 table areas. And I don't think that that's something that we talked about at city council. And that was kind of made as a decision, unless no one knows what I'm talking about, in which case.
And I can clarify what happened with that at another
Not
time.
topic about the table, so we're not
I was
gonna.
gonna say, I can clarify what happened with that at another time. But I will say that that had absolutely nothing to do with Carolyn specifically.
Okay, because I was under the assumption that we had made a decision about it, and then Caroline was like, "Oh, let's just put up the second tables because."
Nope.
Okay, so then I'm hearing rumors, but again, that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about is like,
Yeah.
Nope. Somebody else
Table area.
donated that
Yep.
stuff.
No, but I mean, like the setting up of the second area was never. I mean, like, are those tables allowed? Like
That was a
city
staff level
council?
decision
Yeah, that was the staff
to do that.
decision. They were authorized to do what they thought was best. And then the materials got donated by somebody, so they were available and got passed out. But we're still getting off
And you
topic.
can blame me because the materials were donated by me.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Anyway, we gotta really stop because I'm gonna get in trouble for going too far off topic here. The attorney is having a cow, so. No, we're just gonna leave it.
I want to make one comment.
Okay.
I believe in public opinion, and in fairness to Rebecca, she brought up Sierra Soar, not Sierra Vista Center. And she spoke about trying to limit the funds to Sierra Soar because all the money was needed for fireworks for Winterfest. That's what she brought up, but we didn't address that yet.
Okay, thanks. Winterfest didn't take any money for fireworks. But anyway, and Sierra Soar got what they asked for after some verification stuff.
I'm just representing what Rebecca said, that's all.
All right.
I'm not taking.
So, any other public comment? Okay.
But Trinity, you look like you are a very intelligent person and
Yes.
You appear to know your stuff. And I might be putting my foot in my mouth, but you brought up an initiative to establish a public trust fund and formation of Colfax Community Foundation,
Yes.
which is to have city council members on that foundation, correct?
Yeah.
For a nonprofit.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
And hopefully that organization would resolve some heartburn regarding.
So, okay, any other public comment on this item? We're trying to keep it to this item. No? All right, going once, going twice, done. Okay, I already put a motion on the floor. My request after seeing everything Caroline's done and working with her, I know she is going to do a great job. See, she has been a good representative for the city. She's done a lot of outreach, gotten a lot of people involved. There's going to be personality differences and conflicts, no matter who's mayor. And I really think she deserves to move up into this position based on everything she's done and everything she's put forward and all the work she's put in, dealing with all the issues of the city. And she's been right there with me in all the meetings, dealing with the HR issues and all the other issues and going through everything. So I think she is, I think she can handle the job. I think she'll do a good job of it and be a good representative. So that's my request and my motion. I'll look for a second. So we can put it to a vote, or
your motion was to not deviate from the established policy, so it would be best if you
Right, sorry.
asked to.
So I would
if
like
you
to,
chose someone to be mayor pro tem.
right,
Or made a
so,
vote. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
okay, you're right. So I'd like Caroline to move up and I'd like to choose somebody for mayor pro tem. If we have a nomination for that. You're just gonna leave it stayed for now. Or does somebody want to make an opposing motion or?
Let's get
Well, do we
someone to
wanna-
second your motion first?
Do we want to take I think this is messy. Can we please take the mayor item separately from the pro tem? Because I think we need to figure that part out first.
Yes.
If we try to put nominations in the middle of it and we're gonna be deliberating all night long.
So we have a superseding motion from Councilmember Burris to appoint the mayor separately from the mayor pro tem. Can I get a second to that motion?
I second that.
Okay.
And I say that in the context that we're outside of our process here, right? We have a process with a conflict in it. And so what we're doing is basically undocumented, and so that the question comes up, how do we do it then?
Is
We just
there,
want to leave it as it is?
I'm
We
gonna
don't have any,
clarify
we don't have any,
parameters
hold
of
on.
What I motioned, all that I am motioning is not who will become mayor. It is simply that we are going to take the mayoral appointment separately from the pro tem appointment, and that we're gonna deliberate on it rather than doing the, automatic process. I am not in any way, shape, or form saying who, what, when, where. I'm just saying, let's do it separate. So if Larry, if you're seconding that we are going to separately select the mayor and the mayor pro tem, then I think we're good to move forward with that one.
That's what I seconded, because I thought what Connor talked about before was a future way to do things, but not the way to do things tonight.
any further discussion of Councilmember Burris's motion?
No.
Can I get a vote? Councilmember Douglas? Councilmember Hilberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Burris?
Yes.
Councilmember McCauley?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Lohman? Okay. The council has voted to consider the appointment of the mayor and the mayor pro tem as two separate items. There is no pending motion, so anyone is welcome to make a motion to nominate someone to the office of mayor or the office of mayor pro tem.
Okay, I'm going to continue my nomination for Caroline McCauley for the mayor's seat.
Councilmember Lohman has made a motion to nominate or a motion to appoint Councilmember McCauley as mayor. Can I get a second to the motion?
Well, I
Any discussion of the motion?
yeah, I was gonna say I'd like to tap on the wisdom of our silent council member who stood the longest, Kim Douglas, to see what his thoughts are, because he hasn't shared anything so far this evening, and go from there, because I don't feel like anyone's comfortable jumping to the mic right now.
This is why we get paid $6 an hour to be council members. Or maybe it's $5. And it's been traditional that one of the new ones who's never done it serves a year, another new one says I don't have any great overwhelming choice. I think each one's going to spend 12 months as mayor. The only slight thing I would like to add is that I have a slight preference for picking somebody with 35 years more experience than the other person. It's not a personality thing. It's just, I'm big on seniority and age. That's the only comment that I would add.
I have no
Thank you.
comment.
Any other comment, Trinity? Okay. So I'm gonna circle back around, looking for a second. For the mayor position. Okay, looking for another motion then.
Motion fails.
All right. Well, I move we leave it as is until we change the bylaws, and then somebody can serve a partial term. Until we change the rules and the way we do it and get it updated the way you want.
Can you clear, the motion would be to,
Leave the mayor pro tem as is
Okay.
until we update the process as people are worried about, and whoever comes in as mayor pro tem can serve a partial term that year and then see if they want to continue on after.
so motion to reappoint Loman and McCauley as mayor and mayor pro tem respectively.
Do I have a second? No?
So I don't say.
No? No? Nobody likes that idea either? Okay. Does anybody want to throw another motion out? If nobody wants a second. No? Now we're just deadlocked, so it stays as is then anyway, and we have no further motions. The item's dead. So it stays as is without vote.
So does that mean that it continues to the next meeting since there's no?
Nope, it's done. That's the way it is. Nobody wanted to speak up, so it's me and Caroline McCauley. Well, staying.
We could
Well-
bring this item back, but without further action of the council, it will not come back automatically. If that
Yep,
makes
somebody will
sense.
have to request it on the agenda, and we absolutely have the 100% authority to put it on any agenda we want in the future. We don't have to follow this end of year.
This process is governed by city policy. It's not like a
Right.
state law.
Yeah, so we can do whatever we want, honestly. So if you guys, now you guys get another month to think about it, and we can figure out what we want to do, but item's closed. We'll move on to item 9, good of the order. Does anybody have anything for good of the order? Kim, kick us off.
I was impatient. I didn't want to wait until Saturday for fireworks, but I guess I'm getting them now.
Yep.
But on a positive note, I think establishing the trust foundation and all the people that are here, wanting to chip in and turn our town from a penny stock to a blue chip stock. I'm very, very bullish on Colfax. And if we could take something like the artist Jim Bauer's idea of a cuckoo train, have something that draws people to the downtown, along with the emotional energy we have now to move forward, I think we can make 2026 the best year yet for Colfax.
I agree. Larry, good of the order?
I'm going to leave this meeting very disappointed. That's all I
I
have.
think everybody is. Trinity?
I have nothing.
Okay. Caroline?
Nope, we'll see you guys on Saturday, and then it's Sunday because the Lions has Santa, or I'm sorry, the VFW has Santa as well at their pancake breakfast on Sunday morning, so.
Yep. Looking forward to Winterfest. It's going to be a great event. Everything's going good. And the weekend following on December 20th, I'm going to put flyers out everywhere and make sure it's well advertised at Winterfest. But we're doing the Santa tour, as Cal Fire said. So Santa will be touring our neighborhoods from Hillcrest to Canyon View. And that's December 20th. It starts at 5:30 in the Hillcrest neighborhood. And we have about 10 minutes between each neighborhood. And that'll be the Colfax Firefighters Association will bring out the antique with Santa. That's some nonprofit. And Cal Fire and PCSO will be participating also. Yeah, we drive it like a little parade thing. Yeah. Saturday the 20th. So the Saturday right after Winterfest. Yeah. I try and advertise it, but I'm not really good at the advertising. So anyway. Good order.
Just looking forward to seeing everyone at Winterfest.
All right. Thank you all. Motion to adjourn.
And to adjourn.
Second. All right. Adjourned.